Right, they're back out in the middle, and England needs some wickets here. That was a totally barren session as far as they were concerned. There's still 39 overs to go. You'll have heard Russell Arnold saying it was a bit of a mixture, really. He said it was the brightest it's been all day, but he doesn't know if he'll get all the play in. So it does get a bit like that in Sri Lanka, and when the cloud starts to roll in and the sun dips, the light goes very quickly. There are no floodlights at Galle, being the heritage site that it is, so you couldn't have anything like those floodlight pylons there. So once it gets too bad, that's it, and off you go, and you don't come back. So England want to get amongst the wickets, and similarly Sri Lanka want to carry on denying them for as long as they can. They're 90 for no wicket, and England are going to open with Sam Curran, who took the new ball. Didn't bowl many overs to start with. Stuart Broad only bowled 4 overs, 3 which were maidens inevitably. Sam Curran bowled 3 overs. The bulk of the work, Dom Bess, no wicket for 18. Jack Leach, 8 overs, no wicket for 29. Interesting, we talked about the Sri Lankans and the maidens and the lack of pressure. It's only right, therefore, that we should look at England's maiden department as well. In goes Curran from the pavilion end, bowls outside the off stump. It's pushed away square into the offside by Tiramani for the first run of the session after tea. And now Pereira's been hurt again, and what's happened now? I think the ball has struck him on the back of the leg by the look of it. It was a speculative throw from Bess, and poor old Pereira, who took a nasty blow on the hand from Mark Wood earlier, before he's faced a ball in this last session, has taken one on the calf. So he's hobbling about, and he's got a rueful smile on his face. I'm sure he'll be okay. But I mentioned the maidens, and we did with Sri Lanka, saying this is not a way to build pressure. Well, Stuart Broad's bowled 3 of the 5 that have been bowled. The other 2 were bowled by Dom Bess, but Jack Leach in 8 overs hasn't bowled a maiden. Joe Root in 6 overs didn't bowl a maiden. So again, it was not really a case of just able to bowl 6 balls in that same place and putting real pressure on these 2 left-handers. There's lots of rough outside their off stump, but they just need to really focus, I think, England, on trying to put some pressure on, because they both like to play their shots, Pereira in particular. Just string all these dot balls together, try and bowl for each other, maiden it each end, that sort of a thing. See if they can get a rash shot as a result. Now Pereira's all right again. Now he comes forward to Curran's next delivery and punches it out to extra cover. And Phil Tufnell's back on duty. You've had a bit of, I don't know, but we lost where you are, Tuff. Have you had lunch or breakfast, or where are you at the moment? What's the situation there at the Oval?
No, we've had lunch. It stopped snowing. That's a good thing. Yes, it's just sort of sleeting now.
Is it live? Is it actually on the field?
No. It's just more of a sleet. But looking at these pictures and listening to you, it's warming me up.
It goes Curran, bowls on the leg stump, and it's turned away again towards back of square leg. I mean, we take the point about the maidens, don't we?
Yep.
We said it about Sri Lanka as well.
Yes.
England haven't done it either.
No, I mean, that's what you've got to fall back on as a team trying to push for victories, isn't it? You've got to stay patient, you've got to bowl maidens and just dry up the runs. I mean, you can't have it all your own way, can you, in Test cricket? You know, there are going to be periods and sessions of play where the opposition are allowed to play well, and Sri Lanka have done that. England have just got to, you've got to stay patient, got to start rotating your bowlers and just find that nice little partnership. As you say, bowl at both ends, bowl as a pair, and try and create some pressure. But hats off to Sri Lanka. I mean, I feared for them coming out with a second innings, I must admit. But they've applied themselves nicely, haven't they? Yeah,
well, it'll be interesting to see how Kusal Mendes plays when he eventually gets in. But a man,
he's on an Olympic, isn't he, John? He's on 5 on the spin, isn't he? He's on
5 ducks. I mean, that's it's a sort of, it could well be the way things are going for him. He just gets one that completely explodes off a length, and that'd be going through your mind, I think, won't it? But I think you've got to dispel all that sort of stuff. Let's go out there and just let's hope that your luck changes.
Or the other way, of course, is just go out there and run down the wicket to the first one and have a massive hack at it, and hopefully it goes for a single or something.
Wouldn't be so good if it went wrong, would it?
No, well, there you go. It's getting to that time, though, for him.
It is. Here's Curran bowling wide of the off stump with a low arm, and that was a loose shot from Tiramani. He really chased that, and he's talking to himself now. He's looking up to the heavens and chastising himself, because that really was a get-out shot. It was very wide. He's just dabbed at it, tried to, I suppose, carve the ball away, run it down to third man, but very nearly found the edge, and Butler was there waiting. So too Rooted slip. It's exactly the sort of lapse that Sri Lanka don't want.
Yeah.
Done some sort of hard work here. We've got England searching a bit, and the spinner's fretting. In goes Curran. Bowls short of a length and straighter, and played into the offside by Tiramani, down to where a gully would be, but there's no one there at the moment. Just Rooted slip who fields. It's a real umbrella field looking at that. There were at least 2 in on either side, catching on the offside and on the leg side as well, in like a schoolboy field almost, with those silly mid-offs and silly mid-ons and silly covers and so on, silly mid-wickets, as they were certainly used to be called. But
it's all a bit silly out there.
Well, England, we do start to worry, don't you? I mean, it's like a seam bowler bowling on a nice green fresh pitch. You put the opposition in, it's nice and cloudy overhead, you got a lovely new ball, and the skipper says, go on then, bowl them out. It's the same with the spinner in this situation, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah. Oh yeah, no, very much so. But you've got to put that on the back of your mind. And what you have to keep thinking is that, come on, the pitch it's in my sort of area of expertise here. And so you've just got to trust yourself, keep putting in the right areas, and you just get the feeling if you get one quickly here that a couple might go as well. So you just got to be on it. You've got to work hard. Test cricket is hard, and England have had it all their own way this game so far. So just a little bit of pressure being put back on the English spinners especially.
Let's see how Leach goes. He's bowled 8 overs for 29. Pereira got after him a bit. They pitched outside the off-stump. He changed ends, and I think there was more rough.
That's right.
And that's what introduced the more aggressive play from Pereira, because he actually didn't like it very much.
No.
So he took him on, and he rather won that little challenge.
Yep.
But at least he was lured, or felt that he had to play those shots.
Yeah. Well, you've got to see that as a sort of as a gain in a funny sort of way, John, haven't you?
Yeah.
You've got to see that as, hold on a minute, I'm threatening here, and that's why he's reacting. So as a captain as well, you've got to work and see these sort of like different passages of play developing.
Yes, absolutely. Let's see if he goes over or round the wicket to start with. He's going round the wicket. Bowls pretty straight. It's turned around the corner by Tiramani, and Sibley will field that at backward short leg. So there's 2 men catching in the leg side. Leach trying to aim for that rough outside. The left-hander's off stump, trying to open him up as he leans forward to play it.
And let's not forget, these guys know how to bat in their own conditions. They know how to bat anyway. You don't get into the top 4 of a Test match side if you can't play.
Exactly right.
And they've come across pitches similar to this, and they'll know how to sort of counteract
what they play all the time.
Of course, that's right. That's why we were so surprised in the first innings.
Leach again moves in, bowls, turned away to the leg side again by Tiramani, and they pick up a single there as Wood comes up from deep square leg. Well, we saw while it was raining yesterday that local game going on just outside the ground on what was basically just a strip of earth, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Taken very seriously too, by the way.
Yeah, I don't think that's seen too many grass seeds, has it?
No.
It was absolute dust bowl.
It's totally bare. Pereira's on 56. He's been in the wars a bit, and Leach moves in and bowls to him down the leg side. Catch it, they shout as he completely mistimes a pull into the leg side. Not sure what that came off in the end, but there was some excitement around the bat. Trouble is that the fielders, of course, were ducking for cover, and actually Root was saying that. What did that come off? He couldn't see either. It came off the glove.
Yeah, it was a glove. Big
punch. It was in the air a long time too.
Yeah. As you say, though, you're on your heels when you...
Yeah. Now he sweeps. Catch it again, they shout. And he runs down to deep backward square leg. Got Curran there, who throws the ball back in again. It was in the air a long time, but you just can't help it, can you? When you see a batsman line up to flog the ball at you, basically. I mean, you take cover, don't you?
Yep.
It would have been quite a bonus, that, because it wasn't a very good ball. Root's busily moving the field around. 96 from no wicket. Leach again from round the wicket, moves in, bowls, and that's turned around the corner. Sibley can't stop it. Root is half-heartedly chasing after that. It's going to go all the way into the boundary. Curran can't stop it either. And runs or leg byes. There's some applause going up from the Sri Lankan camp because the 100 has been posted, and I'll tell you what, there wouldn't have been too many takers for that when this innings started.
Not at all. Yeah, you would have got good odds.
Nice deflection off the bat that was. So runs to Pereira, the 2 opening batsmen punch gloves, and on they go. 186 behind still. As Leach round the wicket, bowls, and again he tries to sweep. This time simply does field it with his left hand. Leg slip, and that's the end of the over. Again, it wasn't a maiden. 9 overs now, no wicket for 36. And not worried too much, but we're starting to think, come on a minute, where are we going to get a wicket from here? Whether they turn to Broad?
Yeah, I mean, Stewart's been the go-to guy, hasn't he?
Yeah.
For the skipper, he's always managed to make that break. What did you have for your breakfast, John, last time I was speaking? He was off to get the pan
treated myself to an electric wok, not quite recently, because my cooking, as you know, is pretty desperate, but this is a go-to gadget.
What's an electric
Wow,
wok?
you turn it on. It's like, it's an electric wok, you turn it on, and it just gets incredibly hot very quickly, and it seems you can cook almost anything in it.
Oh, so you don't put it on the
rashers in, a couple of eggs, or you can make a nice Chinese meal in it. I mean, it's a go-to gadget if you're a hopeless cook.
Electric wok.
Yeah, cook all sorts in there. Warm stuff up. Anything's left over. 100 for no wicket. In goes Curran. Bowls on the off stump, played back up the pitch, and there's no run. So it's a sort of a self-catering experience as well, isn't it? Because there's not too much help from downstairs at the moment. So there's a 3:15 alarm.
You don't need fire with it.
Tiptoeing round the house.
Just plug it in and off you go.
With the what? Sorry.
With the wok. Just needs to be plugged in.
Oh yes, absolutely. Plug it in, and it's anything. You can produce anything on there.
Oh, I might get one and bring it to the Oval.
You should do. You could I know that commentary box very well.
There's loads of plug sockets.
Tiramani defends Curran, plays it into mid-on. You could just set it up at the back, where the producer normally sits, because he's not there.
No.
You can have all sorts of goodies going on there.
Okay.
Yeah, honestly, just put one of them in. Take a few rashers of bacon, a few eggs, a spatula.
Didn't you get thrown out of the electric wok on one of your tours of Australia, Tuffers? At 4 in the morning?
Possibly so. It goes Curran, bowls, and that's played away down to third man. It's the sort of place establishment that you might find in Guja Street in Adelaide as well, I reckon.
Oh yes.
That might be an electric wok. But anyway, no. So that answers your question. But
nice.
It is a self-catering experience. This.
Yes, I've become slightly confused with it all.
Yes.
I quite like Michael's shout of the smoked fish. So I don't mind a bit of smoked haddock. Yes, and we've got a microwave knocking about here sometimes. I'm going to get myself a bit of haddock tomorrow. The old boil in the bag haddock.
101 for no wicket.
Or a kipper.
And Pereira's on 62. And in goes Curran. Bowls a lower arm. It's sliced away. A carving shot. This down to third man.
It's out.
It's out. He's absolutely strangled him. Well, there you go. Wondering how he's going to get a wicket. A long hop outside the off-stump.
Wow.
Root's got an enormous smile on his face. They're all laughing because that is just a remarkable dismissal. A long hop outside the off-stump, a carve, and it's been taken down on the third man boundary. Yeah. Well, that is quite remarkable, and we're saying that it might change a bit of fortune. It's Jack Leach down there who actually misjudged a catch in the first innings. Curran's got a look of a man who knows he's absolutely burgled a wicket, and Pereira can't believe it.
No, Kusal Pereira.
That's incredible.
Yeah, absolutely. Looking to the skies now, going, what have I done there? 62 he got, as well as you say, short and wide. Did well to reach it, really, off the back foot, and sort of in carving it, has kind of middled it really well, but with the face open, and it's just flown down to the third man on a sort of 3/4 walking in. If he hadn't hit it that well, he might have got away with it, or even better, would have been 6. But just picked the man out at third man, and just what England needs.
What a bonus! And I was looking up at the Sri Lanka balcony there, and you saw, I think it was Angelo Matthews, saying, "Oh, you could see him talking to Mickey Arthur actually, saying, well, just run it down there. If he just played it, but he's given it absolutely everything, and has skimmed it down to third man. So that's possibly one of the most unlikely ways we thought that England might get wickets here today, but they all count, and it's got England off and running.
They've found ways of getting out the batsmen, haven't they, this test match?
Well,
and that is probably one of the most peculiar.
And now here's our man. How is
here we
Kusal
go.
Mendes going to play? And he's a terrific player, this fella.
Yeah, he
he's
is.
just one of those who's going through a horrible trot. He's got 700s, 1150s, played 40s, this is his 47th match, 3,000 runs, etc., etc. But the fact is, he's got 4 ducks behind him, and there'll be all sorts of chirping out there now. You
Yeah.
can absolutely take that for granted. That there'll be all sorts of. We won't need reminding, of course. I'll be very interested to know what they've been talking about, what he's been talking about with the coach and so on.
Might go to the old psychologist.
Yes. Well, and how are England going to do? I mean, the last thing England want to do is then get off the mark as well.
No.
Let's look at the celebrations. I mean, there's just smiles and laughter all around there.
Yeah, that is as you say, an absolute bonus. And I'm sure he'll be hurting a little bit because he got absolutely peppered at short leg, didn't he?
All those plans, all those PowerPoint, everything else.
wow.
How we're going to bowl at Kusal Pro? Well, he bowl off stump foolish. You try and get him forward there. He might do a bit of that. Been caught third man off a long hop.
That's why I love Beefy. When I played with old Beefy, both of them, Ian.
He got everybody out, didn't he? Right, here's Mendes' first ball.
Here we go.
Coming any moment now. Joe Root's gone up and just tapped him on the gloves there, but he plays his first ball into the onside.
Saw that.
Yeah, that's rather unusual. He walked up to him as he was just taking his guard, gave a tap on the gloves. I doubt he was saying, good luck, Kusal, old chap.
He's probably said you're on him.
Just to remind him. Yeah, but it was a nice little touch on the gloves. But maybe, I'm being charitable, maybe Joe's saying, how's your shoulder?
Yeah.
Because he did hit him horribly yesterday.
Yeah, and he's punched him on the glove and he's probably gone, ow, don't do that, I've got hit there as well.
Maybe that's what he's saying. How's your shoulder, mate? He wasn't saying anything, in fact, he's on a pair. In goes Curran, bowls, and Mendes is forward, pushing a ball back. He's bowled from round the wicket, incidentally, and it's just played defensively into the leg side. So that's the end of a successful over. Very unlikely in terms of the way that the wicket was taken, but it just happens. You can, as Don Best said the other day, you can go up, you can bowl beautifully and get nothing, or you can bowl like I have done today and get 5 for. There's no rules. It just if it's your day, you get a wicket.
Well, that's why, as I say, playing.
I'm looking at a no ball on my screen from Curran.
Oh, that must have been the last delivery.
Well, I don't. Was it? Yeah, perhaps it was. He's coming in and bowling again. Mendes on strike. Curran comes in, bowls. That's played away to mid-on. I was just wondering if that was the one that got the wicket or not. But the third umpire is checking every ball at the moment. They're using that regulation. So I think it's unlikely that dismissal was off a no ball. But anyway, Mendes has survived the 3 balls he's faced so far, and that at the moment will feel like a bit of a bonus, but he's not yet off the mark.
No, in the LT meetings, they'd all be like, this is how we're going to get so and so out, and with the top of off stump, cover the slips, and perhaps jag one back and plays across his front pad and all things like that. Beefy just used to be sitting there in the old sort of armchair and just sort of go, just give me the ball. Just give it a ball. I'll bounce him. I'll bounce him. I'll keep bouncing him.
I'll tell you, we had this. We were playing Sri Lanka actually in 1984, their first Test match in England, and that's exactly. It was my second Test match. Exactly what happened with a team meeting. Ian Botham was going to bounce the ball out. They don't like short pitch bowling. Just give me the ball. I'll bounce them out. And for the next 3 days. The next 3 days are spent throwing the ball back from the mound stand as he bounced everybody. Dulip Mendes in particular absolutely massacred him. Here's Leach, and it's swung away into the leg side. That's a good shot. Before runs for Tirumani. And that sweep shot on the leg stump to take Sri Lanka to 106 for 1. I mean, I think in the end they had to put a couple of stewards in there to save time. Oh, went for 6, didn't it? A couple of stewards in there to save time.
Yeah.
To throw the ball back. No, it was only 4, this one. But anyway, it was. I mean, that was typical Ian, wasn't it? I'll bounce him out. You won't fancy it. And well, we all went round the park those 3 days.
And I can still remember playing that in the 1992 World Cup, Australia versus Sydney. Versus at Sydney.
Here's Leach bowling, turned away into the leg side,
and he just potted up. He potted up, bowled probably about my pace. These lovely little sort of just dibbly dobbers that just nipped around a bit and swung a little bit. Got himself a 5 for. Alan Border bowled through the gate. 1 caught mid on.
Leach again bowls. Tirumani turns that away for a single.
Just had that ability.
Well, when he came back from the ban and got a wicket first ball.
There you go. It was just.
He came back with a ghastly dyed hair.
Yeah.
Was it something Bruce Edgar or someone like, or John Wright or somebody? There's a loosener outside the off stump. It nicked a slip. It just carried. It was typical. Ian was extraordinary.
Yeah.
But that match, I don't know if you've got it there, Andy, but that match against Sri Lanka in '84, I was to look up people like Dilip Mendis and so on. I mean, they played absolutely brilliantly. It was their first time at Lord's. It was a massive occasion for Sri Lankan cricket. And Gower put them in as well. It was a beautiful day on Thursday morning. It was your Middlesex mate, Paul Downton. He persuaded him, I think, the Middlesex brigade said, it might do a bit this morning. And looked up, it wasn't a cloud in the sky. We're still, it took 3 new balls.
I bet that went down well.
Oh, that was a game, that was.
How'd you get on?
Oh, it went round the park. Siddharth wetted me when he got a big 100. Here's Leach bowling, and that's short and poked away out to cover. Didn't start well. Some demonstrators ran on. I was about to run in the bowl the first ball of the Test match, and a lot of demonstrators ran on. Dickie Bird was umpiring, and he was sort of flung himself to protect the pitch. Here's Leach bowling, defended by Mendis, still looking for his first run. 107 for 1, but gradually the wise old heads went off injured because there's a tour coming up. They knew, they read the play, a flat pitch, not going anywhere. My hamstring's a bit tight.
Yeah.
I think it was me and Pat Pocock who took the third new ball. We're going on to the left.
Left you to it.
Yeah.
He's off. Oh no,
is he off? He's swept it straight to the man at backward square leg. So he's still not getting away. I remember saying to Dickie Bird, it was pretty dark towards the close of play of the second day. They got about 450 at this stage. I said, Dickie, can't you get them off a bad light? He said, lad, I'd love to, but they don't want to. They don't want to come off.
They fancy you,
They're enjoying it too much.
I've got the scorecard.
Go on.
Dilip Mendis 111 from 143 balls, 3 sixes, 11 balls. Wettimuni, a rather different tone of innings, 190 from 471. Ranatunga 84 before being castled by Jonathan Agnew.
Having been dropped off his bowling earlier by Anand Lamb, let's put that in brackets.
And you also were the first man to dismiss Aravinda de Silva in Test cricket.
Yes. How is it out?
Caught Downton.
Toughest, how's that? Caught behind.
Genuine. Yes.
Yeah, except.
Top edge hook.
No. Worse.
Go on.
Go on.
Leg side.
Caught strangled down the leg side.
Strangled down the leg side.
It looks great in Wisden though, doesn't it? Caught Downton, bowled Agnew. Yeah, caught down the leg side.
You've got Viv word out.
I've got good ones. 107 for 1, in goes Curran, and this is played by Tiramani out to cover. You can't argue with Greenwich, Richards, Ranatunga and De Silva.
No,
but they came at about 95 each.
No, that's right. You got the big guns out eventually, John.
As Peter Willey always said, Harrods prices rather than Tesco.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
It does look good though. I knew at the time, one day we'll read that out and people will say, cool, that's nice. This little nick outside the off stump, big outswing. I thought if I'm going to be dishonest, I'll say, yeah, it just swung a little bit of bounce. Goes Curran. Flicked away through mid-wicket, good shot for Tiramani, chase for the fielder. I don't think he'll get there. The outfield has been slow throughout the game because of the rain, but that's made it, and Tiramani goes to 47 and 111 for 1 as Sri Lanka's reply. They began this innings 286 behind, so they have now lost a wicket, albeit under unexpected circumstances. I think it's probably the best way of describing that. On a square turner of a pitch, to be caught off a seamer down at third man it's not how you might expect to get out.
Did you feel the pressure opening the bowling with the new ball for England, John? Everyone seems to think, you've got a new ball in your hand, just go in there and steam in and something will happen.
Absolutely. 111 for 1, in goes Curran, bowls, and that's pushed away down to mid-off, and especially we didn't really know anybody. That was the thing. I mean, he'd turn up. I'd played one game, but I hadn't really met Ian Botham before, for instance, who was obviously an enormous presence. I knew David because he was the captain, which is probably why I got picked. But I didn't really know anybody else, and so you're not only trying to prove to yourself that you can, but you're also trying to prove to those people who've been around a long time that you're good enough to do it as well.
And you won the toss, and it was over to you.
You stuck them in. Played down to backward. I've never quite forgiven David for that. No. It was a beautiful day. It was just, and I don't know, there was, so from Middlesex that had been Paul Downton. I don't think of anyone else from Middlesex that was there. It was a ghastly game. Chris Tavares scored one of the most painful. I think he just got into double figures. He batted. Go on, Andy.
14 off 95.
14 off. So they've scored about 600
491, but 166 overs. So,
having put them in. Come on, lads, get out there. In goes Curran, and that's defended by Tirwala. And Tav produces an innings like that. It was just horrific.
Bringing them back to Test cricket.
Yeah, well, he and I never made the tour. We got dropped. But fair play to Sri Lanka. I mean, they really excelled themselves. They really did. But, actually, Siddharth Wettimuniz, those who have toured with me to Sri Lanka will know, despite what he did to me that day, we are very, very close friends. He's a lovely chap.
Yeah.
I'll always look him up when we go to Sri Lanka. He actually usually comes on the radio, which is nice. Relive those days. Nelson here, as this is played firmly back to Curran again. 40 overs completed, 111 for 140 overs gone. Mendes still not yet off the mark.
Why wouldn't he be your mate, no, John? Why wouldn't he?
I'm looking on my pictures for Dan
Probably
Moore,
thought you were very friendly.
As Dan zoomed off. Oh, there he is. He's in the corner of your screen. Dan, keep Tuffers in hand. You've heard far too much about my ineptitude at this level.
Sorry,
and so Dan, it's over to you.
Thank you. It's not easy. It's not an easy job. Andy Zaltzman has mic in hand.
Well, just something to keep an eye on with Kusal Mendes. If he does get a duck, he'll be only the 4th player with 5 consecutive ducks in Test cricket. The first specialist batsman, previously Bob Holland, the Australian leg spinner, who played had 5 ducks in 1985. Ajit Agarkar, Indian bowler, who did have a Test century, but struggled with the bat. And Mohammad Asif for Pakistan.
Could all be moot. Leach in. Has he got a run?
Yes.
Has he gone to backward square leg? They think of a run. He's got it.
Yes. Well done.
Mendes is off the mark. Red letter day in the Mendes household. Let joy be unconfined. It was full, and he just dabbed a sweep behind square, and he's got a big beaming grin on his face. As well he may.
Well done.
He hasn't raised his bat, which I think is wise. It's actually quite a risky shot because it was full and it was pitching on middle stump, and he's played right across the line of it. Had he missed it, he'd have been plumb. But he got enough bat on it, got it behind square to get off the mark for the first time in 5 innings. Full, flicked into the onside by Thirumanni, who's also come into this game with not the best of form. And he's performing creditably here. He's up to 48 from 127 balls. Sri Lanka, though, have lost their first wicket. They lost it to not the best ball. Short, wide outside the off stump.
They seem to be the ones during this Test match, don't they? Keep bowling them there.
Work well for England, those, don't they? Leach into Mendes, who's beaten by a beauty that fizzes and spins off the pitch from Leach. He went back into his crease, thought about playing it. Mercifully for him, he didn't. It's a bit of turn, well, more than a bit of turn and bounce there.
Amazing, isn't it? A top flight batsman like that, absolutely just
full forward in defence, pushes out to the offside, fielded by Curran.
Clutching just for one run. You know, out of all those runs he's scored, just one. Just one will make me feel so much better. And you can see the biggest smile come across his face.
Silly points come in, 2 slips, silly point, a lot of pressure on him now. There's a flock of crows behind Leach. Ominous portents of future doom, I wonder. There's Leach. Is that your crow impersonation?
We've been doing impressions, haven't we, today?
We've done a few, yes. Leach in, pushed into the offside, fielded by Bairstow, half fielded, parried to Leach. I'm not going to let you get away with your joshing with Angus, though.
No.
Because your parting shot to him, though excellent, about Siddharth Wettimuniz.
Yes.
Being his best friend.
During and after cricket.
What about you? Now then, big appeal from Leach, strikes the pad, turning on the front foot, attempting another sweep, Mendes, which has been prolific for him in this innings so far. He's got the 1 run from it. They're not going to go upstairs, I don't think. Not a bad shout, but it might have been turning past off stump. They're having a chat? No. Root's chatting to Curran actually about whether or not to have another over. So
come on,
in the spirit of give and take.
I can take it.
Who's the man who's taken you for the most runs, and are you best friends?
I might have to have a little think about that.
Are there a number of candidates?
Yeah, there are.
Well, maybe Andy, you could probably tell us, can't you?
Brian Lara can't be far off.
Right.
Got them all in one knock.
Right. Good point.
Mark Moore, Carl Hooper.
Yes, sadly the ball-by-ball data mostly misses out Tuffers' career.
Yes, it was in the mists of time.
It was.
Just quickly on that, opening partnership, which ended at 101. It's the first century opening stand against England in just over 3 years, since Bancroft and Warner for Australia added 122 at the MCG, and just Sri Lanka's fourth 100 opening stand against England, only their second at home.
Curran in again, flicked away by Thirumanni into the onside nicely. He's timing it well. This will bring him his half century. It's gone out towards the boundary. Wood is chasing after it. He'll pull it back in about 10 yards in. But the batters have come through for 3. Thirumanni to 51 for his 128th ball, and he raises his bat. He's obviously happy with that. It's his 7th 50 to go with. Sorry, it's his 8th score of over 50, one of which has been 137 Test matches. Sorry, Phil.
No, not at all. There have been quite a few have taken some runs off me, for sure. But they kept calling me after the game, and I just kept blocking them. You know, I want to be your friend.
You don't need to say or see any more of some of these people, do you?
No, not
seen quite enough of them.
Yeah, you do bump into them. Though it's lovely, isn't it, playing this game? You know, you bump into people that you played against, and they always come and say hello.
Ian O'Brien, the Kiwi medium fast bowler. Ian O'Brien.
Yes, I do.
Remember him?
Played for Middlesex.
Yes, that's right. I asked him a question, Curran in, and he looks to pull Des Mendes, and in the end backs out of it. Ball goes through quite low to Butler. I said, we often ask batters about who they were most trepidatious, most fearful facing, because it's an understandable thing. Oh no, Colin Croft, that kind of
yeah.
But does a bowler have the same thing the other way? And he was genuinely traumatised by an Indian opening batsman whose name he couldn't say because he'd sort of blocked him out of his mind, so frightened of him.
Sidhu?
No, similar. To the onside behind square by Mendes for his second run. That was just angling into the pads from round the wicket from Curran, and it's easy for Mendes to get another run. Similar kind of big name, triple hundreds.
Right.
Sehwag. And he looked genuinely traumatised when I mentioned his name.
Shuddering.
He's not on speed dial for Ian O'Brien. He said that he was a man that made him feel that he couldn't bowl anywhere.
But then as a bowler, you always start off against them, not necessarily with that feeling.
Right.
Sometimes it can only take an over or two.
Curran in, cut away and dropped, I think, at Cully. Oh, that went sharply from Thirumanni, but it should have been taken. It was around about knee height, and Sibley has put it down. That would have been a second wicket to a wide short ball from Curran, this time much closer in. He's relatively deep at Cully. He's almost a backward point, really, Sibley there. And it went in the air firmly to him. He should have taken it. Two hands away to his left, reaching a little, but oh dear. And England are just not having the rub. Well, it's had the rub of the green. If he caught that, it would have been very much the rub of the green, but not helping themselves here. Root expresses moderate disappointment. Curran turned on his heels and back to his mark.
Yeah, he's a good copper, Sibley as well.
They got a single there, and Mendes now defends a ball that keeps a little low from round the wicket. And defends it back at the wicket. There's no run. We're going to say a short fond farewell to Phil Tufnell as he tries to block out the names of thoughts of Brian Lara, Carl Hooper et al. And we're going to welcome back Ebony Rainford-Brent. Hello there, Ebony.
Hello. God, that was a big drop, wasn't it?
Felt it.
Having a look at Sibley's body. That's as good as it gets in terms of catchable height at those sort of positions. There's nothing. You don't want it down at your heels. You don't want to be diving over your head.
Curran in, Yorker length dug out. Good diving stop by Broad, moving to his left at mid-on, prevents any runs. It went sharply, but it was still very catchable, wasn't it?
That was catchable. Also, Curran, fair play to him, it looked like it was a little cutter. If you look at it after it hit the surface, it just went a little bit wider, so he ended up reaching more. So he'll be pretty disappointed. But Dan, what's happened to this wicket? I was expecting it to be spitting and turning by now. But it looks
do it.
All right.
It does look all right, I'm afraid, for fans of spitting, turning, dramatic cricket. Tuffers is making the deadening sign, as if the
rain?
No sun, you see.
Oh, no sun,
so
to dry it up.
Humidity in the air, just keeping it together, perhaps. Because it is grey out there. There's no direct hot sunshine on there to really dry it out, crumble it up. It isn't so much a crumble, is it? It's more like the top of a cream egg that's been in the fridge. I think. I don't know.
I've just thought about cream egg.
Yeah, don't think too hard. I know it's not that time of year yet. 118 for one, Sri Lanka. You think
time.
They're not just for Easter?
Yeah.
Like dogs at Christmas. Full, defended into the onside. There's no run. 118 for one. Been a good fight back though, hasn't it, Ebony? From Sri
really
Lanka?
Impressive. I think that it's important for so many reasons. You know, after having a torrid time against South Africa, then you come out and your first performance at home in a long time is so poor. I think it was important that they knuckled down. I thought Pereira reined it in enough, which was good. He still maintained his natural attacking style. I just saw some good control.
Leach is still round the wicket to the left-handed Thirimanne. He's got two close catches on the onside, reverse sweep, well connected. Out to deep backward point. It's going to run away to the boundary for 4. Over the one bit that doesn't have a triangular sponge, it just goes over the rope. And it's a good shot, well executed, good thinking from Thirimanne. It pitched on a roundabout middle and leg, and it was turning away. And he's picked the gap. There's no one there fielding at point or indeed backward point.
Such good control there. It made it look easy. It's a very difficult shot.
It's a totally different innings. This is from Sri Lanka's first innings. 135 all out in 46.1 overs. They're 122 for 1 in 42.2 this time.
He must have had a word. I bet someone in the changing room got stuck in and said, "Come on, guys, sort this out."
But you know what I think part of it is? Leach is in, tossed up, dabbed into the onside to mid-wicket, no run. Picked up by Dan Lawrence. And we did all say, and Michael Vaughan was particularly trenchant in his views, that he hadn't seen a worse display of batting in Test cricket history. Well, you're not likely to do that twice in the same game, are you? Leach in, shorter, dabbed away, backward a square on the onside, down to deep backward square. It's a little too short and a little too leg-sidey from Leach. He needs to get that out wider if he wants to spin the ball back in. Presumably, Ebony, he's bowling round the wicket partly because he can bring LBW into play as well as bring those close catches in, because he can attack those stumps, but he's not quite got his line right yet. A couple of runs, 1 run, 123 for 1.
Yeah, look, the spinners, this is one thing I suppose that one of the more frustrating things is the opportunity for both Leach and Best just to get it control, get it right. You know, there's been some brilliant balls, but again, it's that consistency of line and creating that pressure, and this innings particular.
Well, Leach to the right-handed Mendes looks a lot more dangerous. And falls outside the off-stump, spins away. But Sri Lanka are predominantly a right-handed side, and Leach is going to, you would think, get more out of bowling to the right-handers. That was just a little too wide to tempt Mendes, who pulled his bat inside the line. Leach just needs to get it a little bit straighter. Here he is coming in to bowl his last ball of the over, and that is straighter, and Mendes just stops the ball stone dead with his bat, pushes it right into the ground, smothers the spin. End of the over, 123 for 1. Sri Lanka. Thirimanne has 57, Mendes has 2, and the rain so far has stayed away.
Yeah, all going better in terms of what we thought. I genuinely thought, after you talked about this black cloud or this black blob that took up the whole of the map over Sri Lanka, that we might have been in a bit of trouble, but it's holding up. So not only is it holding up, the Sri Lankan batting has adjusted nicely.
Andy Zaltzman.
25 overs since the last maiden. Just a little more on Lahiru Thirimanne, whose recent struggles we have been noting. His, as you say, his 8th 50-plus score, 1 century. His first against England in his 17th innings, and before this against England, he'd only passed 25 once. He had an average fractionally under 11 from his first 16 innings. So welcome runs for this Sri Lanka.
That's quite extraordinary, isn't it? For a top-order batsman, in 16 innings, we're averaging only 11. It gives you an idea of the struggles that Thirimanne has had now. Looks like we've got a change of bowler. What was Curran's spell there, please, Andy? It could have been 2. He's picked up the 1 wicket.
1 for 14 from 4 overs.
He had Thirumanni dropped at Gully, a very, very catchable chance. And England rue that before the day is out. On this pitch, though, we've seen wickets go a little bit in clusters, haven't we? And I think for England, would it be fair to say that Leach feels like the bigger threat? He's been nullified a little by the left-handers, so now having, in a way, an end open with Mendes coming in, it's going to get his eyes lighting up.
Yeah, completely agree. Mendes, still hasn't looked confident or strong against Leach, just that ball turning away, and you can see the sort of the doubt whether he leaves or plays, and then the ball is turning. So a big opportunity there, but Thirumanni is looking well set. It's a good change up here. Let's see how the seam of Broad opens things up. Almost would go quite straight, I would have thought.
Broad in round the wicket to Thirumanni, who pushes forward in defence, and there is no run. And we hear reports of a drop of rain.
A drop, or
a drop from out there. We're hearing.
Where did it land?
The sun is currently shining. Where did it land? Sun is currently shining, and the England media manager Danny Rubin has informed us of that. And in 3 minutes' time, there's a change of commentator. So Simon Mann had better be readying himself for whatever may unfold.
Perfect time to hand over, is it?
It is a perfect time to hand over, yes. Well, it will be if we get through the over. 123 for 1. Broad in. Sun is out at the moment, though, and Thirumanni covers up in defence, pushes up to mid-on. We're talking about Danny Rubin, and I don't know if this has been mentioned yet, but if you go onto social media, you'll see a video from Randy Caddick. We've talked about him a fair bit. He's this England fan who's been out in Sri Lanka for 10 months. He went for the previous series, it got postponed, he then hung around and said he wasn't going to leave until England came back. And then the first day he went up onto the fort, sang Jerusalem, and was promptly removed from the fort. Broad in, wide of off stump, driven into the covers. There's no run, straight to short extra. He then, in this video, he says he spent the second day watching the game on a TV in a cafe, which wasn't ideal. And then he was given a telephone number, and Danny Rubin got in touch with him and got him accreditation, got him media accreditation, so he could go back to the fort. And he's been at the fort today thanks to Danny Rubin, which is, I think, fantastic stuff from England's media manager. One fan out there being really royally catered for by the ECB. A short pushed into the covers, fielded by Bess at extra cover, and there's no run.
Is there only one Randy Caddick? Because I thought the guy with the floral shirt looked different to that guy in the video. Is it the same guy?
I believe it is the same guy. I mean, you know, obviously he's a man who's both not called Randy Caddick.
There's only one. I shouldn't sing that.
Yes. He's obviously able to morph. That's his DJ name, is Randy Caddick. His real name
is Bob.
Is Rob Lewis.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Oh, it's close.
Close, yeah. Broad in round the wicket, again defended, again Best does the fielding at short extra cover, bending down to stop the ball. And if there is a spot of rain at the moment, there's also a spot of sunshine. So I think we're going to get through to the end of this over okay. And I'm sure Simon has finished his breakfast or whatever it was that he was munching away at earlier, and it's raring to go. England having made the breakthrough and taken just the 1 wicket, that rather fortuitously. And Kushal Perera caught by Leach on the point boundary. Last ball of Broad's over is defended stoutly by Thirumanni, who's got his highest score against England, 57 from 139 balls. He's batted very well today. At the other end, Kusal Mendes, who was on his 5th duck when he got off the mark with a swept single or a jabbed single. Since then, he struggled a little against the left arm of Jack Leach, and it will, imagine, be Jack Leach to bowl the next over. More thoughts from Ebony Rainford Brent, and then to take you through who knows how long, it will be Simon Mann.
Yeah, well, Broad back into the attack, bowled a pretty tidy line, just looked to bowl pretty straight. There's nothing sort of in the surface, no pace, not a huge amount of movement. It looked like Thiramani had plenty of time and was just playing straight back. So it just feels like England desperately need that second breakthrough, Simon, and then of course weather may be looming. So still a long time to go in this test match.
Yeah, bags of time left. Anything can happen from here. Sri Lanka battling away. They're 163 runs behind. That drop catch of Thiramani. Dom Sibley, dear oh dear. Here is Mendes driving Leach towards short extra cover. And there is no run. I'm pretty confident about the next 20 minutes, actually. There were precisely 2 spots of rain. Sun's out at the moment. Famous last words. Here is Leach going into bowl to the right-handed Mendes, who digs out a full ball into the offside, heads off for a single. Throw comes into Butler, and they are safely home. Thiramani running well past the crease at the far end, the batsman's end. 1 wicket to go so far. Kusal Pereira caught by Leach off Curran for 62. It should have been 2 for Curran, really. Second straightforward chance dropped in the match. Lawrence in the covers in the first innings and Sibley at backward point in the second. Sri Lanka fighting back well today after a miserable first 2 days. Thiramani drives into the offside towards Broad at mid-off, and there's no run. Thiramani's highest test score was on this ground 7 years ago. It's only 100. He scored against Bangladesh, 155 not out. He's giving himself a chance here. He's on strike, reverse sweep up in the air over the head of Root. That slip, he has to chase it back. It was a top edge. Root has to run most of the way back to the third man boundary, sends in the return. And Thiramani comes back for, well, 2 rather fortuitous runs. So easily ballooned up in the air, as we saw in the first innings when, who was it that was taken by Root at slip? It was Kusal Pereira. Reverse sweeping Bess's second ball. Fantastic innovation, great shot when it comes off. But of course, I mean, in a way that keep the bowler in the game, that sometimes it doesn't, especially on a pitch where the ball is turning. It is a slow turner though. Here is Thiramani on 59, nudging that for his 60th run towards backward square legs, a diving save, but enough time to go through for 1 more. England today losing their last 6 wickets for 101, although all told last 6 wickets were 49. The first half an hour or so went swimmingly for them. They were dominating. It's hard to see where a wicket was coming from, and then because the spinners were being worked around, they changed the ball and brought on Fernando, the pace bowler, and that worked. 2 and 2. Leach bowls to Mendes, who's up on his toes, guiding away towards cover, picked up by Crawley, and there was no run.
It's a little ball. Sorry, Simon.
Go on.
No, I was just going to say, it's balls like that it's just a little bit frustrating there. Mendes hasn't looked very effective against the left-hander, and he just got just short enough for him to get back and pat it away. And you just feel that someone who's under pressure, you know, you string together some balls at him that, yeah, just create that extra sort of angst for himself. So that for me was just the kind of delivery that's just a little bit nothing really. It's not putting the pressure on Mendes that you really feel he should be under at this moment. So it just feels like it's just drifting a bit.
One of the things, it feels like a spinner's pitch. Well, it is turning, there's no doubt about that, and there's some banks as well, but it's a slow turn, and that's the thing. Spinners like all bowlers really, they like some pace in the pitch, so when the ball spins it bounces quickly as well, then you're right in the game. And lots of pitches like this in the subcontinent where you think, oh yeah, you lick your lips, you think we're going to bowl them out. Here's Broad bowling to Thiramani, who plays defensively back to the bowler, and there's no run. But it's not always quite straightforward. When you see the ball turning and you think, right, must be in the game here, must be a 5 for me. But Sri Lanka spinners struggle. They bowl in these conditions. Embledenia 3 for 176. Pereira went for a gallon as well, although he got some wickets towards the end. And were a bit careless. His route as well was caught on the long on boundary, looking to up the run rate with Stuart Broad at the other end, trying to get what he could. While England still had a wicket in hand. Broad bowls on the pads there of Thiramani. There is a leg slip in, but he hits it to his right, down towards Overton, who's on the field, down there at deep backward square leg. England have lots of members in their touring party. Can you name them all, Ebbs? Not sure.
All of the England's
England touring party.
Yeah, God.
There's about 25 of them, isn't there?
Yeah, there's a lot. They're all in the reserve list, wasn't there? Verdi's out there.
Yeah.
Stone's out there.
Yeah, Parkinson is in the. Stone's in the main squad. You have to keep an eye on who's in the main squad, who's in the reserve squad. They got a couple of. That wasn't serious. I wasn't going to make him name them all,
okay,
but I mean,
I was about to go through my list.
And it's in these COVID times.
Yeah, it's so fascinating, isn't it? That like you think about all the eventualities, normally an injury or loss of form, and now you have to layer this on, and this will be for foreseeable. I would have thought another year or two of these testings that could just throw the cat amongst the pigeons ahead of games.
Broad moves in and bowls to Mendes with a leg slip in. Mendes comes forward and plays across his front pad there, out towards mid-on, and there's no run. Looking at the route as well, looking at everything to try to bring about the second wicket.
The other danger is just having a whole squad wiped out. In theory, it's not sometimes the potential of just one player going down. It could be 3 or 4 or whoever's been in close contact. So, yeah, you do need big squads.
128 for 1. Mendes on 3. Broad goes in to bowl to him. Straight delivery, homing in on middle stump. Then he plays across his front pad there and turns it towards mid-on, and that is no run. As it's turned out, for India, COVID wasn't the problem for them. It was just injuries. There's that aspect to it as well, the conditioning players, and all sorts of other aspects as well. Hit on the hand, broken hand, that sort of thing has happened to Jadeja. By the way, the news from the Gabba, if you missed it earlier, Australia 369, India 62 for 2, no play after tea. Rain, Broad bowls outside the off stump, no stroke from Mendes. Through to Butler. The third day is on 5 Live Sports Extra tonight at 11:30. The forecast actually doesn't look that good for the rest of the game. I'm not talking about 3 days of washout, but there's quite a bit of rain around Brisbane. So just possibly, if India can have a decent day tomorrow, I think the forecast is okay tomorrow. India can have a reasonable day tomorrow. Might be able to, well, who knows, certainly get away with a drawn series. Mendes waits, Broad bowls right on targeting that off stump. Mendes comes forward and plays it defensively. 76 miles an hour from Stuart Broad, who's bowled 6 overs, 0 for 3, 128 for 1. More from you, Ebony, and then I've got a question for Zoltz. Actually, Zoltz is coming in, is he?
Oh, just say Broad had bowled 29 dot balls in a row before that single in his 2 spells, and he's bowled 4 of the 6 maidens that England have bowled. The maiden in the 44th over was England's first since the 18th.
Yeah, but he's bowled pretty well, to be honest. In particular to the left-handers, he always seems to charge in and get that angle right, forcing them to play. I thought he was a little bit unsung in the first game. I know that the first innings, I know we talked about Bess's 5 and we've talked about Joe Root, but I felt his 3 wickets opened up the game for England early on, especially when you weren't expecting the seamers to do well. So just showing his class as a player, even when the conditions aren't right for him.
They were massive bonuses. Got England on the way on the first day. Leach begins a new over. Bowls to Tilamani, struck on the pad, shout for LBW. Pali Garuga shakes his head. He thought about it and then he shook his head. So it's up to England now to think about the review. Down to 12 seconds. Root has come to have a chat with Leach. Butler's involved as well. They are going to review it. It was one of those from round the wicket, and the idea there is you pitch it on and get it to straighten and obviously not be too high. So let's have a look at this. He did think about it, umpire Pali Garuga. I wonder if there's a bit of umpire's call involved in this somewhere along the line. Let's have another look at it. Second look.
Pitched off stump and
appears to be close to the bat.
Now this is low enough for LBW, but is it going down the leg side?
Yeah.
I think that's the issue, isn't it? Or umpire's call on leg stump. It did turn. I don't think there's any bat in it.
Just gut feel, it didn't feel out, but always worth a look. It just doesn't feel out, like you say, turning a decent amount off the surface.
Pitched just outside the off stump and turned back in. It's not impossible, this one, but it's going to be around about that leg stump area. Umpire's call just missing, or England desperately hoping this is going to be hitting the leg stump. They're just checking on, see whether he's hit it. I don't think he has. Can't see anything there, though. I think they're waiting for Snicko.
It goes against as well with the umpire giving it not out, so he needs to do quite a lot, straighten quite a bit there. It's turned a bit too much.
One aspect so far, it's taken quite a long time to load the next bit of the technology, the ball tracker, so we're still waiting for that. Tileman is waiting nervously. Well, okay, he'll get the ultra edge first. Has he hit it?
Okay, keep rolling.
No, he has not hit it.
Okay, it's a flat line with the ball. Passes the bat, so confirm no bat. No bat.
It's not far away, this. Right, here we go, ball tracking very soon.
I think half a leg stump, turned a fair bit. Maybe not enough to overturn.
Still we wait. The ball tracking. It's taking quite a long time in this test match to load the ball tracking.
Still waiting for ball tracking, which is standby.
Right, here we go.
Ball tracking coming up. Jason is not out. Pitching in line, impact in line, and because missing. Give me Ruchi on screen, Ruchi. Because I'm missing, you can stay with orange decision. I will let you know when you're on screen. On screen now, you can make a decision. Thank you.
The Hawkeye showed it bouncing quite a lot there, Simon. It didn't feel, considering where it hit him on his pad, it didn't feel like it was go that much over leg side, but yeah, lost review.
Yeah, I'm with you. I wouldn't have had that bouncing over the top. I certainly could see how it was missing down the leg side, but I had it bouncing over and wide as well. It was going down and high. Leach goes in and bowls down the leg side. Tileman tries to flick it away. Butler takes it. Good take from Butler, actually. And if it's your day, you get a little flick on those. Your day as far as the bowler's concerned, I mean. Tileman didn't. Tileman is on 61. It's 128 for one. Little top edge sweep there. Scatters a few birds. Towards the fine leg boundary. Curran bustles in, sends in a good return at the base of the stumps, and one to Tileman. My question was going to be actually for Zolt, so that's actually a Michael Vaughan question, is how many teams, I don't know whether you've got this in your database, Zolt, so whether it's an easy thing to look at, how many teams have passed their first innings score one down in their second innings? Sri Lanka bowled out for 135. Let me just have a look. Is Zolt Some. Okay, all right. I understand your answer. Here is Leach bowling outside the off stump. Kusal Mendes causes it to cover and there's no run. When certain questions I ask you, I know you relish looking them up, but I sense with that one that might be too difficult to find out. Leach into bowl, and that's a good delivery. That turned and bounced past the outside edge of Mendes' bat.
That's the one. Getting him playing, pulling him forward. Just that length as well. He had to just slightly reach for it. Perfect delivery.
Almost did too much, really. Here is Leach bowling to Mendes. Mendes comes forward, angles that away, trying to kill any spin out towards backward point. There's no run. It's the end of the over. It's 129 for one. Mendes 3, Tileman 6. Oh no, it's not the end of the over. No ball has been signalled late. Well, not late, but it just takes a while to look at the technology. So another Leach no ball, and it's already happened in Leach's career when he got Steve Smith out at Old Trafford. In a situation like this where you're desperate for wickets, you do not want to overstep on a wicket ball. Of course you don't.
It's a decent
no spinner as well. If you're a spinner as well, I feel you shouldn't be no balling. So one more to go in the overs. 130 for one. Leach moves in and bowls to Mendes short outside the off stump. Pushed through by Leach. Mendes deep in his crease. Lets it go. 130 for one. So what's the answer to that question, Andy?
Still some, but I've got another little Joe Root stat. 228 out of a total of 421. In terms of highest proportion of a team's innings, he scored 54.1% of England's runs, and in all innings where the team has scored 400 or more, that is the 8th highest proportion scored by one player, and the highest ever by an England player in a total of over 400, beating the 49.7% scored by Tip Foster at the SCG in December 1903 when he made 287 on Test debut out of a score of 577 all out.
There's another route, well, it's not a stat, it's a near stat, wasn't it, today, that no batsman has scored 229 in a Test match innings. There are a few scores. Here's Broad bowling, and Tiramani drives up towards mid-off. This is really niche stuff, but there's no run there. But there are certain scores that have not been scored in Test matches, and 229 is one of them. I think Kane Williamson, didn't he knock one off the other day when he made 238? No one has scored 238 before, something like that. Anyway, that's Simon Stanley Zaltzman. Do a lot to do that.
Getting crunching those numbers.
I saw that when Williamson. I think there was a 229 in a women's test, but not a men's test.
Okay, the men's test, yeah. 130 for one. Here's Broad bowling. It's played defensively by Tiramani up towards mid-on. Picked up by Wood. And there is no run. So we're 13 overs just about into the evening session. 40 runs have been scored and 1 wicket has fallen. Thanks very much, Ebbs, for your contributions. So now Michael Vaughan is back. He is alongside me. 130 for one. So Sri Lanka are 5 behind their first innings score, and they've lost that single wicket. What a wicket it was as well. Pereira holding out to deep backward point off Curran. Broad moves in and bowls. Forward goes Tiramani, plays it back up the pitch. Broad picks up and there's no run. Broad still bowling with that leg gully. Got Tiramani out that way in the first innings. Too cheaply, really. Not employing the tactic very long, and Tiramani obliged, knocking it straight to Bairstow. Feels like a very different second innings. England being made to work hard. Actually, Sri Lanka now batted longer in their second innings already than they did in their first innings. We're in the 48th over. They make it to the end of the 47th in the first innings. Broad, arms pumping, sweat on his face, goes in and bowls outside the off stump. Big drive from Tiramani, doesn't time it. Goes out towards extra cover. Tiramani inspects his bat. Okay, Skipper Vaughan, what do you do here? 130 for one. Dropped catch, and not much happening for your spinners.
No, I mean, I think Jalil's just bowled a couple of decent overs, particularly to Mendes. So he's just got to continue to do what he's doing. Disappointment today from Dom Bess. He's stretching off, trying to get loose. Maybe he's coming into the attack. Just not been consistent enough. It looks flat, doesn't it? For the seamers, there's nothing there. There's no bounce, there's no seam, there's no grip for the cutters.
Broad to Tiramani, short outside the off stump. There's no stroke. It's what makes that, I suppose, in the subcontinent you really feel it more. In England you can drop the odd chance and you think one might come your way again because with the ball nipping around a bit, but when you in the subcontinent you drop a chance like Sibley's chance, it's doubly frustrating.
Yeah, I mean, a little bit of the old England Test team have arrived today, a collapse of wickets, and that's what they used to do, and nothing really from the spinners. That's an area of concern. And obviously drop catches, that catch from Tom Sibley, again, we always have to continue to talk about the Ashes because they're so important and they're coming up quite quickly, but you just can't afford a drop. You know, a Labuschagne or a Steve Smith or a Virat Kohli in a few weeks' time. You know, so these little areas of the game that England have just got to tighten up if they want to be an outstanding Test match team.
Broad bowls, nice tight delivery to Tiramani. He's bowling at the stumps largely, Broad. That's looking for those LBWs. Tiramani was in behind that, playing firmly up towards mid-on. There is no run. It's 130 for one. Sri Lanka are 156 runs behind, with Mendes trying to dig in alongside Tiramani, who has dug in. More from Michael, and then the next 20 minutes it will be Jonathan.
Yeah, I'm digging in as well. I've just had a yawn or two. Oh, come on, I've got to liven up day 3. A session to go, Aggers.
Come on, cricket too, actually. There's
absolutely
still 26 overs to go. There was word from the ground of a spit and a spot of rain, but that seems to have gone away now, all being well, because we've got this full day's play, if we can. 156 behind. What a great day for Sri Lanka so far. They've got to just keep that going, and they could end up with an intriguing Test match here. They've still got a long way to go, a lot of concentration to go, and just the thought that if you get one wicket, you can let's get a couple on this surface. But Leach, 14 overs, no wicket for 54 so far, is continuing. He's bowling to Kusal Mendes, 28 balls for his 3 not out, and he's forward driving into Bairstow's legs there. who's now coming to the offside, just in front with a helmet on.
Yeah, it's a long way off, I guess. I mean, we trail by 156. Sri Lanka, they get another 300.
Yeah.
145, 150 chase on the last innings of a test match.
Leach round the wicket. Balls. That's a sweep. He's skied it, and it's landed in an empty space. But just for a moment there, as desperate cries of catch it, and Mendes himself looked straight up. As soon as he'd played the shot, he knew it had gone up in the air. But neither Butler nor Root, who was running back from slip, could quite make the ground. He didn't control this. Mendes, a little bit of extra bounce for Leach. Came off a thick top edge. And straight up, spinning away. But, it landed at least 7 or 8 yards away from the chasing Root. So nothing there for Leach, just one more run to Mendes. And Sri Lanka move on. 131 for 1. They're 155 behind. Jack Leach busily setting his field there, pointing this way and that. Exactly where he wants his fielders to go. Patient innings from Tiramani, 62 from 153 balls. And in goes Leach once again from round the wicket. He bowls a little too short again, and that gives Tiramani the chances to go back into his stumps, turn the ball off his pads. It's another single. Rather as England did when they were batting, it's just ticking along, aren't they? It's there hasn't been pressure on either team really as far as scoring runs or not scoring runs is concerned. They haven't really managed to tighten it up. There's been gaps, a bit of inconsistency from the bowlers. Maybe they're under practiced, as it were, not fully prepared. There's usually, or almost always been, a scoreable ball per over from both sides. And Leach again bowls too short, and that's runs this time for Mendes, cutting through point. Chase for Lawrence to within a couple of yards of the boundary at a deep point.
You've noticed, Agus, there's a bit more activity on the roads around Galle today. It's a bit busier. Just noticed the buses and the tuk-tuks flying around the roundabout.
It's interesting because I was looking up and to try and see if there was some sort of curfew or lockdown around Galle, because I was struck the first couple of days about how little traffic there was. I think the first day was Poya, so on the national holidays. 134 for 1. In goes Leach round the wicket. Bowls smothered by Mendes. No sign of my old friend the elephant going round on his open flat back lorry was there, going up off to a wedding. I would challenge anyone to beat that size of a cricket ground. 134 for 1. And this is Mendes defending, playing into the onside. Elephants are very much a way of life, of course, in Sri Lanka. I remember going up to Kandy one time, and there, parked in the driveway of a house where you'd normally park your car, was an elephant. It's parked, moored up, as it were, or tethered. So they're very much part of daily life. The Elephant Sanctuary, that's a good place to go outside Kandy as well. Have you been there?
Yeah.
Feed them, wash them, go for a swim with them in the river, actually. Feeling particularly brave.
They spray you, don't they?
Yeah, that's a really good place to go. 152 behind. There's none of that for England on this trip because both games are in Galle.
I'll tell you what,
look at that.
Sri Lanka are fighting for this Moose Cup, aren't they? They're putting up a show today. They've been fantastic. The first 2 days they were appalling, and on day 3 they got the early wickets. That just gave them a little bit of a boost, with confidence, and then with the bat in hand, it's so important when you've got such a big deficit. The opening partnership just creates a bit of calmness and a foundation, and that's exactly what Pereira and Tiramani did.
Well, part of the motivation must be to have your photograph taken with the Moose Trophy. This extraordinary thing, which has got a ball on top. It's all in gold, of course. In goes Broad, starting a new over. He's conceded 3 runs from 7 overs so far, and that's another dot ball played into the leg side by Tiramani. So it's a gold upright with the big gold ball on top, and then these golden antlers protruding from either side. It's an absolute one-off, and I think really that's to be pictured holding that proudly aloft would be something. I mean, forget the World Cup in 1966.
Well, forget the World Cup in 2019 for some of these players. It'll be the Moose Cup. Picture on the top of the mantelpiece if they win this one.
Well, absolutely. No, you'd want a selfie with that, I think. In goes Broad again, bowls very full. Yorker, really. But Tiramani manages to jab his bat down, and Broad's able to field. And his economy rate's ridiculous. He's coming up, he's bowling low 70s miles an hour, 73, 74 miles an hour, and they simply cannot get him away. 7.2 overs, 5 maidens, no wicket for 3 so far.
Yeah, it looks to me like the Sri Lankans are almost just saying, I just see Stuart Broad off, don't risk anything. Just get him out the attack. You know, in these conditions, you're only going to bowl 4, 5 max. So you got 24 or 30 balls to see him off.
And he goes again, wearing his bandana, of course, and that's round about middle and leg. And you're right, I mean, you feel if that were Mark Wood or someone who bowled that level to middle and leg, it might have been turned away down towards fine leg or something. But no, Stuart Broad, they played absolutely straight back again. 42 dot balls, 1-1 and 1-2, and that's it off his approaching 8 overs. I mentioned the bandana. Have you got pre-bandana and post-bandana figures there for Stuart Broad, Andy? Because they're quite striking, aren't they?
Yeah, they're good.
They're very striking, and he loves that bandana now. I don't think it's the same one. 134 for 1. In he goes again, long strides, bowls, dug out once more by Tiramani at very full length. Fielded at mid-wicket. It appeared last year. Was it in the first test? Or the first test that he played last year? In other words, at Old Trafford, that it made its first appearance.
Yeah, it's certainly been a kind of a bio bubble arrival, hasn't it? We've not seen it before then.
It was when the hair started to get long.
Yeah, I don't think we saw it in India or anywhere like that before.
134 for 1, 152 behind. Broad again, round the wicket, bowls down the leg side, and he misses that. It was one to nudge away. Tiramani in a defensive frame of mind against Broad, couldn't get any bat on it.
I just wonder whether it's worth England just dangling the carrot wide of off stump just for an over. Just pat the offside, throw it out wide, just see if he can leave 6 balls just wide of the off stump.
Who from Curran maybe with the angle?
Yeah, even Broad now, just lob it wide outside off stump and say, right, we're going to have 7-2, pat the off. He might kind of jump across, try and work it on the onside. He may try and play a big drive through the offside. Get a few catches, kind of square the wicket, short extra, short mid off.
He's on course for another maiden. It's the last ball of the over. He runs in now, bowls the left-handed Tiramani, who sure enough comes solidly forward to a ball of 80 miles an hour, so a little quicker that. 8 overs for 3 runs, Stuart Broad, and the umpire there has called for a drinks break, so they'll enjoy that. Certainly he'll enjoy it. He's working up a spell. Go on, Andy, what have you got there?
Rounding up something I was saying earlier on, the 229 was made by a women's one-day international. That's by Belinda Clark. It's the lowest score not ever made in Test cricket. On Stuart Broad's headband, since he started wearing a headband, 32 wickets, average 12.7. And I worked out that if he'd worn a headband for his entire career, he would by now have 835 Test wickets rather than the 570.
Of course he would. Isn't it funny how superstitious cricketers are? Because it's not the same headband, obviously it can't be. But the fact is, it's just a headband, that's good enough, and now he's going to wear it whatever, I suppose. But the brilliant figure since he started wearing it. But he's bowled beautifully here. But the only wicket that's fallen is Kusal Pereira, who scythed a catch to what is a square third man down on the boundary anyway, off Curran for 62. It shows you can pick up wickets any old how, all the planning and all the resources and all the plotting and the field placings and so on. And the only wicket to fall so far has come like that. But
I'm just looking down at our Oval TMS branch at Aggers.
Oh yes, what's going on?
There's a bobble hat being worn by Henry. Must be quite chilly in there. There's a flat cap being worn by the Tufnell character.
Yes.
No sign of Dan Norcross. He's gone for a wander, I think.
I've had a very anxious text message from Alistair Cook.
Ooh.
Because he's in there next week.
Oh, is he with us? Is he?
He's with us in voice, us, but right. He's actually in the presence of Tufnell, Norcross and Henry Moran at the Oval, and he's very worried about the catering arrangements.
Well, I would be very concerned. Alistair, if you're listening, bring your own.
No, he is listening.
Little tuck box.
Yeah.
Lunch box like you used to have when you used to go to school.
A couple of animals from the farm, maybe.
Rack of lamb coming in. I was going to ask Tuffers actually what security is like. I mean, how do you get into the Oval at 4:45 in the morning? I wonder. I mean, is it a straightforward procedure? I'm not sure. We'll have to find out next time he's on.
Go to the main gates. He was telling me on day one, main gates, and there's a.
Is there somebody on duty in there?
There's nice. It's usually nodding off a little, but you have to wake him up.
Yeah.
Just to remind him to let him in, and he walks around to the box. You get the delivery at 7. Wherever it comes from, it comes at 7 o'clock, and they have to walk back round to get the delivery.
Oh, back round to the main gate?
Yeah, back round to the main gate. I think Dan parks near the commentary box when he starts there at 4 a.m, but he can't stay there. So at 7 a.m, when he goes to pick the food up, he takes his car back round to the main gate. And obviously, when he's there at 4 a.m, we don't want to park at the main gate because it's a walk round. So he parks near the commentary box when he has to move his car. It's
stealing a couple of extra minutes in bed, I presume, is that? Yes. Well, I don't blame him. But no, Alice is driving in from Essex every day, or where, his part of the world. So an early start for the night.
Yeah, he'll enjoy it at 3:30 on the roads and get into the Oval.
Well, I don't suppose there'll be much traffic, will there, for him?
No, it's an easy drive. I see he's also got a different backdrop in the shed. Nice beach. Where's that? Is that Gaul?
That was Gaul. Yeah, I took that on. I had a few days off during the 2011 World Cup, and my family came out. Our kids were very young at the time. All they wanted to do was ride in tuk-tuks, and took this picture on a beach near Gaul. So
it's a very clever idea to have it's a green screen, is it, Andy? So you can hide all the general paraphernalia, your hose and everything else, lawn mowers and stuff. There it is. He's lifting it up. Wow. It's
a lot of debris.
I don't know what's in there.
Are they cassettes in the far corner, or?
No, they're I think CDs.
I'll tell you what, Andy, you've got the makings there of a fantastic car boot sale. All covered by a green screen. That's the way to go.
I'm not a naturally tidy person, because the green screen camouflages a multitude.
It's a great idea. You should have one up. It's all these people doing Zoom calls and so on, appearing on the telly with various mainly bookshelves behind them. I did see, by the way, I don't know if I was quite proud of myself for spotting this. We're always looking for people to have on views from the boundary. I have spotted a regular news contributor on TV the other day with a brand new cricket ball on his bookshelf, and he'd been doing these things all day because it's very important at the moment. And the cricket ball was a late appearance. It wasn't there at the start of all his news hits, but it was there about halfway through. Clearly a cricket fan.
Who's that?
Mr. Matt Hancock had a brand new cricket ball on his bookshelf.
Yeah, he's a cricket fan.
Is he?
Yeah, big one. Yeah.
Oh, there you go. Well, busy man at the moment.
He's on the telly every day.
He is, but I spotted it, a cricket ball made an appearance, and it wasn't there at the start. 134 for 1. In goes Best then from round the wicket, starting up this final session. We'll see how far we get.
You are right though.
Still, how many? I'm just checking how many overs there are to go. It's gone from my screen. 24 to go.
You are right. Every kind of interview that you see on the television, it has been for a while now. In these times, the Zoom interviews, and they all do seem to be in front of the bookshelf, don't they?
Yes, they do.
Yeah, it's like, I'll show off my book collection.
Yes, or not, as the case may be.
Yes.
Well, I do my BBC TV work from up here in the attic, and my ambition is always, in goes Best round the wicket, bowls and steered off the back foot. I've got a sort of a sofa behind me. I'll always try and get at least one of the spaniels on there in the background for the very important
I've seen
news hit.
I've seen a very good picture that you put on the WhatsApp group of Bumble.
Is Best going round the wicket and played away down to back, good point. Well, he's sitting absolutely where the scorer would normally be in my life. I'd look left and there would be Andy Zaltzman.
And what are you seeing?
I've got Bumble, and anyone who has a spaniel knows that spaniels do love to recline on their backs. Here's Best round the wicket again, bowling his off spin. That's defended, and Tiramani plays to Best, fielding a short leg.
He's leaving it all on show.
Well, he is. It's not a great sight. I mean, I'm just hoping that Zaltzman, when things are restored to normal, doesn't pick up a similar pose, because I think it's too much to bear. But no, he's very comfy.
It looks a bit like Zaltz, actually.
Same colour hair. Here's another one defended into the offside. There's rather more of it. Rather more kempt. But no, anyone who's got spaniels know exactly the pose that Bumble's adopting at the moment. But we've got all three up here now. We've got the full house. 135 for 1. The trail by 151. They've had a very good day today, Sri Lanka, but there's still a way to go, and that's driven to Bess's right hand and then deflected into the incoming Sibley from cover to end the over. 135 for 1. And yes, still lots of cricket still to go. I might have overgone my time here. Is I supposed to be handing to Simon? Where are we? Oh no, I've got 5 minutes to go.
I was going to say, he's just about to have some porridge.
Who, Simon is?
By the looks of it, yeah. He's cleaning a bowl out.
What's your catering arrangements in the Strictly studio then?
No, the Strictly, today there's no canteen. Usually on a weekday, just nip upstairs to the canteen and
right.
Get
that's all right.
Yeah, it's nice, bit of yoghurt, but today I had to bring my pack. That's why I bought my mackerel in. My peppered mackerel. A little bit of beef.
Nice.
Simon gets his delivered from the hotel that he's staying at, so he gets a packed breakfast.
Simon eats fish, but he's otherwise I think he certainly avoids meat.
He's having a lot of problems with the hot water taps here at Media City. You just can't operate them. He sent me to fill up his little cup, his tea in.
Well, it'll be a couple of games that we look back on with smiles on our faces. I hope everyone listening to is enjoying it. It is different, obviously, and not being at the game, it is awkward. That you don't quite feel part of it. You don't see the field setting, and you don't say to yourself, "Oh, I wouldn't have him there. Actually, I'd have him over there." Or it's not obviously not the same as actually getting into a game as such, but needs must, and this is the way it has to be done at the moment. And Jack Leach still looking for his first wicket. He's bowled 15 overs. He's going to come on. Another thing, it's quite hard sometimes to work out which end they're bowling from. Here's Leach, and this is pushed away by Mendes off the pad.
Again, you're looking at fields, and you don't have to be there to kind of assess that Mendes is struggling. He's 7 from 35, and yet there's just a slip.
Yeah.
No, I'm just trying to.
You wonder where the other ones are.
Why isn't there a silly point?
You'd want to be in
leg?
there. Yeah. Where is he? In goes Leach round the wicket, bowls. Mendes stretches forward. I'd like to see a man really tight in there. Someone like Bairstow who's just chatting away all the time.
Just get right in front of him and have a chat. Just try and put him off. Remind him of his scores of late. Why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
That's not abuse. That's just a little bit of trickery.
Leach again bowls. He can go back to this, but it was actually, I think, a little fuller than Mendes thought that was. And Bairstow now, you saw him there, is at point, so he's back.
Like having a short leg, so there's a space on the onside that he might try and work a straight one through mid-wicket, get a leading edge.
Leach again bowls. That's smothered by Mendes. Picked up at mid-wicket this time.
That's the perfect example. That delivery was angled in, he'd pitched about leg stump and he defended it. If there'd have been a short leg there with space on the onside, he might have just tried to work it in that gap for a single.
Leach once more tosses this up. That comes way off a thick edge. Oh, the uncertainty there between the bats when they go scuttling back to their respective ends as Buttler throws speculatively up at the non-striker's end. Curran Fields has no run. 135 for 1. The ball to go in this 52nd over of Sri Lanka's innings.
That would have gone straight to short leg. That inside edge off the pad would have gone straight to short leg.
It would.
So they've got a 45 for the top edge sweeper, mid-wicket and mid-on, and a sweeper on the boundary on the leg side. Just don't need the mid-wicket. Oh, there you go, short leg comes in. The horse has bolted.
He has. I can hear the thundering hooves and thundering elephant's feet in Sri Lanka as that's pushed away into the offside. And it ends the over, so 135 for 1. 151 Sri Lanka trail by. Mendes has 7. Tirumani has 63. More from Michael Vaughan and Andy Zoltzman actually first, and then it's going to be Dan Norcross.
Leach just bowled the first maiden by an England spinner in this innings since the 18th over, when Best bowled the second of his 2 maidens. Previous 22 overs by England spinners, at least 1 run taken from them. So Sri Lanka managed to just keep things ticking over as England batsmen did so effectively in their innings.
It's been doughty stuff by the Sri Lankans, who were clawing their way back into this. Best round the wicket, bowls to the left-handed Tirumani, and he dives to field. Firmly struck push off his own bowling, diving to his right. Bess has been, despite the figures of none for 19 from 10, not awfully threatening yet. Hasn't managed to get one really to turn past that outside edge of the left-hander. There's a slip in, a forward short leg. He's round the wicket to him and zeroes in on the middle stump. It's pushed back at him again, and he stops with his left boot. And again, there's no run. Mendes, 7 from 40. He's broken that horrible sequence of 4 ducks. Not got any fluency in his play yet. Dhiramani, 63 unbeaten. Welcome half century. Would love to convert that. He drives his full ball beautifully through extra cover. It's going to run away to the boundary. It scatters the egrets. And he picks up 4 more, moves to 67. That was a splendidly played shot. Managed to get it through a tightly packed offside field, and the score moves to 139 for 1.
That was a Kumar Sangakkara style drive. Hitting with the spin, he gets nice and low. Gets that kind of wide base planted early. He's played really well, Dhiramani. He's just had good options for all the different bowlers so far.
Here's Bess again, full, 2 full, and easily dug out by Dhiramani. Back 2. Bess, who once more fields off his own bowling. What's Bess not doing quite right at the moment, Michael? It's not that he's bowling loosely, but it doesn't seem to be quite hitting the spot just yet. As he comes in off just 1-2 paces, little skip, tosses it up, defended on the front foot by Dhiramani, and there's no run.
I don't know. I mean, it looks like he's bowling just okay, but there's no dip. There doesn't seem to be that dip in the ball, whether he's not putting enough on it, whether it's just that he's trying to just put it in the right areas rather than spin it into the right zone.
He's in again, and that does turn a little bit, and Dhiramani has to adjust his shot the last minute, defend square of the wicket in the onside, end of the 53rd over. 139 for 1, Dhiramani 67, Mendes 7. Did you see Graham Swan gave an interview, I think in Wisden Cricket Monthly, talking about wanting to be involved in helping coach the spinners, and he was talking about the grips that England spinners use, and he said even that very basic thing, he felt that they weren't even holding the ball right, which was quite a thing.
Well, he was an outstanding spin bowler, so he would know what was best for him, but it doesn't always mean that it'd be best for someone else. It's a funny game, cricket, where there's many different techniques that work. I just look at Dominic Bess. I don't think he's bowled this sounds silly, I think he's bowled better in the second innings than he did in the first. He's actually put more in the right zone this innings, but they played him better. In the first innings, that 5 for 30.
Leach in, full toss. That's swept away for 4 by Mendes. He's completely missed his length there, has Leach. Whether that's just slipped off his finger, I don't know, but it was a full toss around about knee height, and that was no trouble at all for Mendes. That is a pie, I think.
Yeah, that's a pie. Well, it's either a pie or one of those buns that you've been having at 7 a.m. every day. It's nice, yeah. You want them, don't you?
And it was delicious, I've got to say.
It's the only time I see Phil smile when I mention those sandwiches or whatever you're getting delivered at 7 a.m. It's when he comes to life.
It's a very exciting moment of our day, Leach in, sun is sort of out, and Mendes lets this go by a ball that turns into the gloves of Buttler, but a bit too wide.
I'm looking forward to the next test when you get Sir Alistair on those hash browns.
Well, I'm hoping Sir Alistair's going to bring in some of his own food. I'm thinking lamb.
Yeah, I'd hope so.
Is it one time a year for that sort of thing? I don't know. Leach in again. That's better. That forces Mendes back into his crease. Just pushes the ball into the onside. Maybe not quite full enough, but there's still a bit of turn there. We've seen Leach beat the bat quite a few times, but conversely to Bess, who's going at only about 2 and over, Leach is going at nearly 4 here, none for 63 midway through his 17th over. He's quite the gourmand, isn't he, Sir Alistair? So there's a decent chance he'll raise our standards here in the box.
Yes, I'm looking forward to his arrivals at 4 a.m. just to see what kind of spirit he arrives in.
Well, it'll be very upbeat, I'm sure.
Yes, of course.
Leach in, left-handed Dhiramani. That really does turn. Well taken by Buttler. It's interesting to watch Buttler with the gloves standing up, because there's the assumption, I guess, that he's going to keep the gloves in India, and there's a lot of talk about Folkes being the better keeper standing up, and you'd want him with spinners, but he's not done too much wrong in this game so far. Leach in again, and that just too straight on around middle stump, and Dhiramani's able just to work it into the onside, no run.
I'd just like to see Leach throw it really out wide. Just get it really wide. He's just bowled it just too comfortably in that kind of just outside off stump, too consistently. You want it there, particularly when you're in as a batter. You want it there. There you go again. Just too easy.
Off
too
stump.
easy.
And just easily worked by Thirumanni up to long on for a single. He will keep strike, which will not displease England. He has 68. Mendes has 12. Sri Lanka after 54 overs, 145 for 1. They've already batted 8 overs longer than they did in the first innings. They've lost 9 fewer wickets, which is quite the thing. We got change in the box now, is it?
I think you're going to be talking to your right-hand man next to you with the flat cap on. With the scarf, the cap. He looks like he's going to the races.
Is that, by the way, just before you go, Michael, is that your tea that I can see on the flask?
Yes.
Have you worked out how to make the hot water tap work?
And I have. Don't tell Simon, but he actually asked me to go and do his as well. Don't tell him.
Scandalous. Absolutely scandalous. Andy Zaltzman.
We had a query earlier on.
Best going to start a new over. We'll come back to it. And forward comes Thirumanni, pushes it to the offside field in the covers. There's no run.
About occasions in which a team has overtaken its first innings total with only 1 wicket down. It's quite hard to get an exhaustive list, but Tom Russell on Twitter has tweeted me the Oval 1948 as an example.
Yeah, that would make sense. Bess in, tossed up again, full toss on the pad, shin high, work through the onside easily. The Crows scatter, the ball runs towards the boundary, won't quite get there. Bairstow runs after it, flings the ball back in, and to add insult to injury, they pick up 3, so Bess is going to have to bowl to the right-hander. 148 for 1.
England were 52 all out in first innings of Don Bradman's last test, and then reached 64 for 1 in their second innings. So that's an example of that. Thirumanni now has his highest score since 2013.
Wow.
He'd not scored more than 64 in that time. It's also now his second longest innings and his third highest innings of his career, and this is his 72nd knock. So so a rare success.
I'm right in saying, aren't I, that Thirumanni has played every year since 2013 at some point. Bess in, that's going down the leg side and just worked into the onside, but not going to get a single, won't Mendes, as Bairstow tidies up at leg slip, and they run 148 for 1.
No, he didn't play in 2018 or 2020, but I don't think Sri Lanka played a test. No, they played right at the end of 2020. Right. He's been in and out for a long time.
So his highest score in 8 years. Bess into Mendes from round the wicket, short, horrible, clattered away, out to deep square leg. Only be a single.
71 in 8 years.
Yes. Well, that's the power of persistence, isn't it? 149 for 1.
Well, and I suppose it also shows that there's not too many knocking down the door for his spot.
Well, I believe in Sri Lanka the promise is there. They see him a lot in first-class cricket. Their first-class cricket, playing elegantly, and just hasn't happened for him. Bess in, turned into the onside. That's going to beat mid-wicket. Bairstow charges after it with his shoulders hunched and his head bobbing like a particularly rapid pigeon. And they pick up 2, 151 for 1. The deficit now just 135, and the 50 partnership comes up from 105 balls.
Mickey will be feeling a lot better on the Mickey Arthur, their coach. He would have calmed himself down. This will be making him feel.
Bess in outside the off stump. That goes through to Butler.
That's better.
Closer, not sort of fourth stump line. Well, I was going to say end of the over, 151 for 1. Saw Mickey Arthur this morning, our pictures, and he was very chirpy. He looked very upbeat, didn't he? I mean, given that this is the man, of course, homework gate. With Australia many moons back, Shane Watson demanding that they all do their homework. He was sort of seen as a martinet and a disciplinarian. He looked a very jovial chap.
He's mellowed.
We've got a beautiful tweet that's been passed to me by Henry Moran from Monty Panesar.
Monty.
You'll recall Shane Warne had a certain jibe about Monty.
He did.
Didn't he? So he hadn't played 52 test matches or something. He'd played the same test 52 times. Well,
correct.
Monty has tweeted at Shane Warne and said, why aren't the English spinners using the width of the crease and varying their pace?
Well, yes.
Shane Warne.
Go on.
And do you think he's got a point here?
Well, yes. I mean, also, I just don't think that they've
Lee Chin, very full, driven, short extra cover, collects, there's no run.
They haven't managed to get that sort of forward defensive sort of, in the trade we used to call it half cock. You know what I mean? It's either been right under the bat where they've been able to sort of push through it and drive it, or right back on the stumps and just knock it and bowl it a little bit straight. So I think they've struggled to find a length that has sort of created doubt in the batsman's mind, instead of them sort of being able to, I mean, that's the way good players play spin. They get right forward and they get right back, but then you've got to play with your paces a bit to make them find themselves a little bit sort of like in no man's land, and then out comes the bat and the gloves.
Lee Chin, boarded defence, comes Mendes, pushed out to the offside, no run. If any of you are scoring at home, I apologise, there was one dot ball where nothing much happened just before that. So
did we miss it?
So put 2 dots in your scoreboard, don't worry. I'd have interrupted you if something important had happened, don't worry. It's just
so
left alone.
They've just haven't quite found the sort of, well, I know it's going to sound strange.
Leach in again, and that's too short. Going back into his creases, Mendes can work it through mid-wicket for a single. They come back for 2. Broad tidies up. Good running. The Sri Lankans now started to get a bit more confident here. 153 for 1, Mendes to 15.
They haven't quite found the right line, the right length, or the right pace. There's not a lot left.
That reminds me of somebody I was at university with who was working at in his spare time. He was working at a notorious fast food restaurant.
Oh right. What, the one that we sometimes
we've occasionally used, yes. Leaches in, and that is tossed up too full, swept to short fine leg, where it's tied it up again. There's no run. And I said, how's it getting on there, Chris? This is while he was at uni.
Yeah.
And he said, well, Dan, I am there a manager in all but status, pay and name. So I thought pretty much covered it all.
So in other words, you just turn up.
Yeah, so much like your spin bowlers here, they've not got the line, the length or the speed. It's played outside the off stump, a ball that turns slightly by the right-handed Mendes into the covers, and there's no run. It has the merit of keeping the left-hander on strike for the start of what may be Bess's next over. 56 have gone in the Sri Lankan second innings. They're 153 for 1.
Listen, it's not easy. It's not easy. The pitch has obviously just gone a little bit flatter, and I think that is because of that sort of like overcast, low pressure, very good for fishing. And it hasn't sort of like quickened up at all, so the ball's gone a little bit flat. And listen, they've played well. Batsmen are allowed to play well. They're not test match batsmen for nothing. They do know a little bit about batting, but I think they'll be just disappointed with the pressure that they've been. It's all been a little bit too easy. Just listening to Michael Vaughan there, just a little bit too easy to just rock on the front foot and knock it down to like a deep long on, or just get back, and the line's a bit too straight. They just haven't. Perhaps say they've been in bubbles, haven't played a lot of cricket, but I would have expected a little bit more this innings.
Well, Mark Wood's coming in. He's going to replace Bess, and he did actually have Pereira in a spot of bother in the middle session. He got one really to bounce. It was a quick throat ball, and Pereira got his glove on it, defending his throat really, and that really hurt. You could see the spray came out, and England needs something down there just to change the pace of the game here.
Yeah, and also, Test cricket is hard work in the subcontinent. You do have these periods of play when you've really got to dig in, and you've got to use your skills, and you've got to use your patience and your consistency just to hold on. And but then what you've got to do is when you do force that wicket, you've really got to make the most of it. And that's where I think when Mendes came in and he was on that run of noughts, we've let him find his feet a little bit.
Yes.
That's when you've got to be right on it. Give him nothing. Keep him on naught. Keep him on 1 for as long as you can. Keep people round the bat.
Clock is getting close now to 11:30 English time. Quite there. There's 18 overs left in the day, Andy, I think, something of that sort.
Nearly lunchtime.
Wood runs in, round the wicket. The left-handed Thirumanni, who drives straight to Sibley at extra cover along the ground. Is in the air briefly. Wood's on the ground himself. He, like Stephen Finn, is a quick bowler who often finds himself on the ground. We've got a Big Bash result for you, by the way, those of you who've been listening to our Big Bash coverage. Sydney Sixers riding high at the top of the table have beaten Perth Scorchers by 6 wickets. A half century for James Vince, and 80 from Josh Philippi, who's himself riding high at the top of the run scoring. I go Philippi, I quite like it. Shot off the pads, tucked off the hip.
He's a talent.
Square leg for a single. He's the only man this year to have gone past 400 BBL runs.
Yeah.
He played in the game the other day, the Sydney Derby, which Alex Hales became the leading run scorer. And at that point, he was the proud possessor of the golden cap.
Is he playing for the Thunder? Hales?
Playing for the Thunder.
Yeah.
And in the same game, Philippi then went straight past him and golden cap. That was probably the shortest golden cap reign of the lot. It's like the sort of the Chenyenko of golden caps, if you like.
Didn't even have time to get it on the nut.
Don't think he did.
Oh no, there you go, mate.
Yes.
Pass it.
Yes, it's yours. Yeah. Got to think. BBL coverage will continue the end of this test, between this test and the second test, and then of course after the second test we'll be at almost the knockout stages then. Slightly convoluted knockout stage I can describe to you if you like. Wood in, left alone outside the off stump at a pace. That delivery 87 miles an hour.
Good effort
from Wood. It's not that convoluted. Everyone gets a bit scared when it's not simple semi-finals, but top plays number 2, and whoever wins that goes straight through to the final.
Fair enough.
4 plays 5. The winner of that plays 3rd.
Yeah.
The winner of that plays whoever lost 1v2.
Yes.
Winner of that goes through to the final.
I get that.
So you can, if you finish 4th or 5th,
win it.
You can win it by winning 4 consecutive knockout games.
Yeah.
Keeps interest going.
Yeah, I don't mind
through
that.
the group phase. 154 for 1 Sri Lanka. The deficit 132. Mendes on strike.
And how many teams are there?
8 teams. Top 5.
So you're in it right to the death then, if you
unless you're the Melbourne Renegades at the moment. Wood in, and that's defended from the crease. Shortish ball, pushing Mendes back. He works it into the onside. There's no run.
Have you got a franchise you follow?
Well, I like both the Sydney teams. I've got to say, big fan. I like the Thunder.
When I was over there a couple of years ago,
of course, because you did the commentary.
Yes, that's right. I got quite the Thunder because I think it was the AC/DC was their theme tune. Was it AC/DC?
They do like these new modern music, don't they?
The whole place was rocking. Was it Henry knows his stuff?
Well, that's the thing, Henry. Short, the keeper, no run. Well, you know, I'm always slightly tickled by the music they play at the BBL. Yeah. It's almost as if 1973 is preserved in aspic in Australia. It is rolled out every day. The other day was Layla.
Oh, was it?
Yeah. The full version.
Yeah.
About sort of 11 minutes worth of it.
Perhaps it's
finished the game.
A bit of my era then that made me warm to them.
I do like the fact they've got that lovely top 3, now 4 with Sam Billings coming in at 4, but Khawaja, Hales, Ferguson.
Yes. Went to his restaurant. Ferguson got a very nice sort of new wave, sort of mung beanie sort of restaurant. Yeah. All that kind of stuff. It was very tasty.
Well, I never.
Yeah. And Joe Root, Josh Butler, of course, played there.
Round the wicket comes Wood, just changing the line of attack. Bowls a bouncer, neath which Mendes does duck. And I didn't know I was going with that sentence.
You've turned into a lesbian.
I know it wasn't. It's quite a long 3 days. I'm loving every minute of it.
Yes,
absolutely. But just occasionally one stumbles over English, and you'd just like to be able to describe things with a noise. You know.
What would have that been?
Anyway, it's the end of the over. 154 for 1 Sri Lanka, and the rain has stayed away, which is terrific. 57 overs have been bowled. Umpire Paliagurugate, as I thought he was getting his glasses out. It's not a great sign, is it?
Wasn't a line
They're checking to see if the ball can't go through the pincery holey thing. See what I mean? Completely running out of words. Is he? Thank heavens. Simon, please take over. The producer's pointed out to me I can no longer speak English. Might as well hand over to someone who can. So Have a lovely time. See you all tomorrow, Simon Mann.
Well, Daniel, if you're running out of words, the world really is in trouble.
Simon, do you know what the Pinsbury Holy thing's called?
It's the thing they put the ball through to see whether it's out of shape or not.
Simon,
it has a very long name.
Well. Oh, does it? We know the name.
The gauge.
The gauge.
That's it. The gauge. Come on. Right, there are 3 umpires out there at the moment, and Sam Curran's there with them as well, keeping an eye on which ball they're going to choose. If they are going to change, I think they are going to change it because the ball did not go through the thing they put the ball through to see whether it's gone out of shapey thing. The gauge.
Go and have a light. Go and have a coffee. Go and have. You've done very, very well.
Is that Daniel?
Is it not named after someone? Feels like something should be named after its inventor. The cricket ball gauge.
Yes. Like who used to hit it a lot and it went out of shape?
Gary Sobers.
Yes, there you go. The Sobers ring.
Sobers gauge.
The Sobers gauge. Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
One of those.
Right, they've found a new ball, or a different ball. England would like a new ball, I think. It's 57 overs old. They won't get another one of those for 23 overs. It's been an overcast day in Gaul, so light might become an issue. I've completely lost track of what time we're playing till today. Probably at least another 3/4 of an hour. Someone can help me out on that. 154 for one. 12:15 we're playing until, so another 3/4 of an hour.
Simon, you've gone very dark on your Zoom. Have you turned your lights off?
Well, no, I think the reason is because it's very light in the background, and we've got a window behind us.
Oh, that's better.
There you go.
are.
There we go.
There you go. Lovely to see you.
Waving to each other on Zoom. All very friendly. Tiramani, 74 not out. Dropped once by Sibley on 51. Chance of a second test 100. Here's Leach going in to bowl to him. Left arm over the wicket. Tiramani turns it away for his 75th run towards deep mid-wicket. Jog through for a single.
I'd like to see him just throw it out a bit wider for an over or two. I agree with the skipper, Mr. Vaughan. Just get that left-hander groping a bit more outside the off stump. Make him commit to play the ball on the leg on the offside, or if he then wants to fetch it to the leg side, that can bring in top edges and things like that. Everything's a little bit too straight, too easy just to, in his sort of hitting zone. Gets his eyes behind the line of the ball and can just knock it down the ground.
Kusal Mendes, he's worked hard for his 15 runs. He's been there 55 balls. Leach goes in, bowls to him. Crab-like defence into the onside. Sort of close up on his shirt. He's absolutely dripping with sweat. It's stuck to his skin. A humid afternoon. And the sun hasn't been beating down today. It obviously gets even hotter when the sun is on full beam. Here's Leach bowling to Mendes. Mendes leans forward, guides it away with an open face towards backward point, and there's no run. I was very disappointed that Andy Zaltzman failed to take up the challenge of teams that have gone past their first innings score only 1 down in Test cricket. He just nicked a stat off Twitter that someone had sent him.
Doing all the other stats as well. Yours in the intro.
That was the stat, Andy. That was the stat for the time in the broadcast. Here is Leach bowling to Mendes. Mendes squeezes out a defensive shot. Butler comes from behind the stumps to pick up.
He's not happy.
And there's no run. I know you're presenting the news quiz and you're starring in the circus and all sorts of other things as well.
Starring in the circus?
Well, you've got many hats. I'm sure you've done the circus sometime in the past. Here is Mendes on strike to Leach. Leans forward, defends it back up the offside of the pitch, and there's no run.
I've not performed it in the circus, but I did do a stand-up show in a circus tent in the former East Berlin some years ago, in which I had to follow an extremely impressive aerial rope artist.
Leach bowls, Mendes goes back to a short ball, punched away, straight to extra cover, stopped by Bairstow. Was your
rope work up to it, Andy?
Well, my rope work wasn't up to it, and my English language stand-up comedy was not up to it for a German audience either. So
hold on a second. It was in English, or was it in German?
Well, it was a German night, but they used to fly over an English comedian to do a sort of 15-minute set as part of a sort of cabaret night, at which there were various circus acts.
Right. Well, there you are. So I thought you performed in the circus. And the other thing as well, I suppose, it is quite a tough gig actually, isn't it, to do a gig in English to a German audience.
I've had to do that.
Sorry?
I've had to do that once. Yes, it was a German bank. Yeah. It was tough as well. Yeah. Very difficult.
Why did they put you tough?
Well, I have no idea. And I tell you who I was with. I was with the Conservative. Who was the big chap with the sort of like big grey swept back hair?
Here's Wood going into bowl to Tiramane. He plays that with one hand. He's so confident now. Plays it square with the wicket on the offside. There's no run. 155 for one.
He was going for the Lord. He was going for the Lord Mayor of London. Mayor of London. Very early on. I forget his name. Big chap. Big. Sort of, I forget his name. But I turned up and I nearly throttled me agent after that one. It wasn't one of my finest hours.
Did he get no laughs at all?
Well, they're all talking about this, that and the other and exchange rates, and I'm banging on about Brian Lara.
There was Wood bowling to Tiramane. Tiramane up on his toes, plays it way into the offside and there's no run. I think there's been a bit of a renaissance in German cricket there, hasn't there?
Oh, is there? Well, not with this mob. They didn't know who or what I was talking about.
Presumably they were speaking good English, though. Presumably they've got the nuance. That's the thing. I suppose.
Well, yeah, they didn't. But anyway, I ran out of there, sobbing.
Can you have a renaissance without having a naissance first? Was there a renaissance of German cricket?
German cricket was very big in the 1830s, Andy. Do you not know that?
Was it really?
Yes, it was. 155 for one. So they recently had a renaissance. Dear, oh dear, keep up. 75 for no wicket, 75 to Romani, I should say, as he drives into the offside towards extra cover. 155 for one is the score. So Sri Lanka looking to wipe off a first innings deficit of 286. And they've played really well today. They've knuckled down. Admittedly, there is something in the pitch, the spinners, but it's slow spin. And they've worked hard to overcome it. They've shown a completely different approach today from the first innings, where they basically just tossed wickets away.
Stephen Norris, that was his name. Stephen Norris was the candidate, and I did it with.
Did he speak as well?
Yes, he did.
Did he get any laughs? Wood bowls short down the leg side, Butler half takes it, has to run back and flicks back towards the slip cordon.
Well, he was there sort of giving a presentation. He wasn't there to perhaps get laughs. You know, he was there talking about all stuff, politics and what's going on with London and everything like that.
How long do you give it, Tuffers, when you're doing it after doing a speech or speak to other? How long do you give it before you give up and basically sort of whack one up in the air or go to square leg and miss the straight one?
Well, 15-20 minutes. Right. I kind of got the room very quickly, and then you get that sort of like bead of sweat going down the neck.
Here's Wood bowling, driven by Tiramane back to the bowler, and there is no run.
Yeah.
It's a horrible feeling, isn't it?
Oh dear. Hasn't happened to me often, but that was definitely uncomfortable.
And how many laughs did you get, Andy?
I'll just dig out the stats. It was about 2002, I think.
What, 2002 laughs, or it was in 2002?
Well, that's my average for a gig, Simon, so probably around about that.
Wood bowls, defended by Tiramane off the back foot, back to the bowler, and there is no run. That's the end of Wood's over. That was 86 miles an hour from Wood. He has touched 93 bowled one in the first innings. 7 overs, 0 for 20. Pitch looks dead for the quick bowlers, and it's a slow spinner for the spinners. And they've struggled with all sorts of aspects of their game today, England spinners. 155 for one. Kusal Prayer, the man out for 62. England losing the last 6 wickets for 101 today. 421 all out route, 228. And we have around about 35 minutes play left today if the light holds. And I was saying this earlier, yesterday the scheduled close was about 15 minutes eventually after sunset.
How does that work?
Well, I think they had to put some regulations together and hadn't really totally considered it.
No.
And yeah. Anyway,
there we go. Light meter's out now.
Oh yeah, the light meter is out. So
dreaded light meter.
Yeah. No lights, no floodlights in Gaul. And I'm all for floodlights, but you feel it would spoil the ground unless they could get ones that go right into the ground and then come up only when needed. Because it's such a beautiful setting.
Yeah, they'd have to be something like out of James Bond, wouldn't they?
Yeah. And it's a World Heritage site as well, isn't it? The fort. So they probably wouldn't be allowed to put them up anyway, I should think.
No, quite right too.
You can hear Michael chuntering in the background. I think it was like, go and put lights up in Gaul. What are you thinking of, lad? Right, here's Leach. It wasn't a very good impression, but it was a sort of Yorkshire accent. Here is Leach bowling outside the off stump. Mendes stretches forward towards Extra cover, playing the ball to extra cover, and there is no run. Leach is in his 20th over, 0 for 67.
He'll be getting a little bit fretful.
Yeah. To that one wicket in the first innings, and a catch dropped as well. Leach goes in and bowls to Mendes off the back foot, hits it straight to extra cover. There's a slight fumble there by Bairstow, but he's got a fielder backing up behind him, Lawrence, and there is no run. So we're moving towards the end of the third day, so still loads of time. If the weather behaves itself over the next 2 days, loads of time left. Sri Lanka 131 behind, and they've got some experience batting to come. Leach moves in, bowls to Mendes. Mendes right back into his crease. Actually, his back foot there was so close to middle and leg stump. Playing defensively.
We could have, I don't know, I might be just, thinking ahead too far here, but we could have an absolute ripper here of a test match. They knock these 1-3-1 off.
Leach bowls, so that one is turns and bangs. It straightens rather than turns sort of 90 degrees. We've seen a few 90 degrees today, and that one sort of pitched and then with the angle and went straight on. So he left it, and it was close to off stump. It also bounced as well, and it wasn't taken cleanly by Butler. It wasn't that far away from off stump.
Good lead.
In a way, there's been, when it has turned, there's been too much turn. Leach bowls. Oh, that's a beauty. He's got him caught behind. He's nicked that one. That was perfect. Again, didn't turn too much, and it hit the outside edge of Mendes' bat, and Butler took a decent catch. And the old Somerset combination, although Butler plays at Lancashire now, but he was a former Somerset man. Leach and Butler together get the breakthrough. A lovely left arm spinner's dismissal, the one to sort of dismissal to gladden the heart of someone like Tuffers.
Yeah, that beautiful delivery by Jack Leach. You can see what it means to him there. There's that little mini fist pump a couple of times there. That'll make him feel a little bit more at ease. A good wicket of Mendes. Say, just lured him forward. It just went up from the hand a bit, and he got that pace and drop and bounce. I think just clipped the glove or the shoulder of the bat, and a good catch by Butler. Took that about shoulder height because it went, didn't it? Bounced and kicked and turned. He'll be delighted with that, Jack Leach, and yeah, that would have settled the nerves. As a spin bowler on this kind of pitch, you don't want Norther in the wickets column, so he'll be delighted with that. Give him some confidence. Yeah, big smile on his face. So I think he's having a chocolate bar there as well, just to keep him going.
Or an energy bar, or something like that. Yeah.
Good delivery that.
Yeah.
Got it right. It just came up lovely. Came out of the hand lovely. It had that energy and that spin. Pitched and turned, and that's what this wicket can do. It's just he hasn't actually had a lot of luck, Jack Leach. He has beaten the bat a couple of 3 times or even more, but that one just getting the edge. Well bowled.
Yeah, England were desperate for that. 155 for 2 then. Sri Lanka still 131 runs behind. We're waiting quite a long time for the new man to come out at number 4. What have Sri Lanka done here?
That's Mbulgedia.
Are we in night watchman territory? We are. We are in night watchman territory. I mean, we've still got, in theory, 32 minutes play left, but perhaps they just sense that we won't get all those overs because of the light. And so Lasith Mbulgedia has come in at number 4. It might be just worth digging up his stats so far as a batsman. I know he was out in the first innings. He was run out backing up in the first innings. He was a bit unlucky, to be honest. Good catch by Butler, by the way.
Yeah, very much so. Just seen that as well, because he really did have to adjust, didn't he? Got a good piece of the glove of that bottom hand, perhaps even a thumb. So it was a bit of a deflection, and you really saw the head watching the ball, and then the hands, both hands, just at the last minute grab onto it. Good catch.
Mbulgedia's highest first-class score is 26.
Get him round the bat, pressure him.
And he's made 24 in a test match.
Could get a cheap one here, England. Perfect length, wasn't it? That's why they've been struggling for me. They haven't made the Sri Lankan batsmen push out at the ball when it's not quite there. But that one was just perfectly pitched.
Butler enjoyed it as well. Hurled the ball high in the air. Here's Leach bowling to Mbulgenia. He's a left-hander, and they have got men around the bat. Tough as you called for it. 4 men around the bat. It was the last ball of the over, though, so he's off strike for now. So, yeah, let's have a look at his first-class record. He's played 34 matches, 381 runs, average of 11.9. Top score of 26, and 15 not-outs. Helped him to that average of 11.
This is where Jack Leach should be, as you say. If he does get to bowl at the left-hander again, get him wide, bowl him wide of off stump, because tail-enders, they're not good at judging lines. They like to feel the ball, the ball, bat on the ball, and they go towards it. So if you bowl the yard outside that off stump, get him sort of defending towards the offside, bring those gloves in, inside edges. Not too straight to the left-handers for my mind.
Right. We had an email in on the subject of comedy in Germany, Simon.
Yeah, I've seen this. I was just looking through it, actually. Just have a quick look
from
at it.
A Gary Sharp, who writes, listening to you reminds me of the time Norman Lamont, then Chancellor of the Exchequer, joked in a speech in Germany that there are 3 types of economists. Those who
Here's best bowling to Tiramani, meanwhile. Cut away towards backward point, there's no run.
It's the way you tell him, Andy.
Someone came up to him afterwards and said, "You never told us what the 3rd type of economist is." Thanks for the fun coverage. And thank you, Gary.
Tiramani flicks that away on the leg side. Curran went to pick it up, and then he went to throw the ball. It slipped out of his hand because they went for a tight single. And it's difficult to tell whether the Embledenia was in trouble there for a moment. Curran, perhaps in his eagerness, tried to get the ball away too quickly. Let's have a quick look now. There's hesitation. Curran was onto it. Oh yeah, I think if he got the throw in over the bails there, he might well have been run out, Embledenia, for the 2nd time in the match. Anyway, he's on strike, trying to protect Tiramani, I suppose, because he's the night watchman. Best moves in, bowls to Embledenia, and that one turned sharply. One of those right angle deliveries, but in a way no threat. Once the ball had pitched, spinning away sharply, Embledenia ignored it. Here is Bess going into bowl, round the wicket to the night watchman, and then Embledenia's angling that away to backward point, and there is no run. Thanks for your contributions today, Tuffers. That's your lot. And Everdy Rainford Brent is going to come into the Summarisers sitting room. Reminder, review of the day at the end. You can catch up with our podcast on BBC Sounds later as well. 156.42, 61st over. Australia against India, 3rd day tonight from 11:30. Although I understand that Cyclone Kimmy is on its way towards Brisbane. Here is Bess bowling to Embledenia, plays that way defensively into the offside. Of course, they're actually making up times. They're starting with early, so on air at 11 tonight for that 3rd day coverage of the Test match from the Gabba. India 62 for 2 in reply to Australia's 3-6-9, but potentially some more weather problems in the next few days. Here is Bess to Embledenia, who edges that along the ground. They've got a gully in there now. Sibley goes scuttling towards him. He stops it away to his left-hand side. If you're for the lower order, this is quite a test against the spin of Bess and Leach. 156.42, so we've got 28 minutes play left in the day, as long as the light holds. Best 13 overs for 30 ebbs.
Thanks, Simon. Yeah, this game is actually developing, isn't it? Where we thought potentially Sri Lanka could have another mare like they did in the first innings, they're really holding on thanks to Thiramani, who's played well. He's played patient, reined in a couple of those shots, and just seeing it off nicely. The wicket hasn't sort of deteriorated, and so it's going pretty well. Well done though I'd actually say to Butler to be there after not much has happened for a long time and get a beauty of a delivery that spat and turned, and he took the outside edge. Brilliant from him. But the light, Aggers.
Yeah, the light.
Sorry, Simon.
It's all right, don't worry. The light meters are out. I think they've taken the bells off. I think that's it for the day, actually. So it's worth just making a note of that. The time they've come off, it's 11 minutes to 12. Admittedly, it is an overcast day. So if it were to be an issue, up against it on the final day, if Sri Lanka were able to get a big score and put pressure on England, anyway, we'll let that play out in the future. But I think England will play pushing tomorrow for a victory. A play called off just before 10 to 12, which is just past 20 past 5 local time, and Sri Lanka 156 for 2, and England getting that really vital wicket, that extra wicket just before the close of play. But Tiramani's battled, but he was really badly dropped by Sibley on 51, the sort of catch you have to take, we feel. And Sri Lanka 66 for 2 in that session from 26 overs, so not a bad session for England. Actually their best session of the day, to be honest. Sri Lanka have fought back well today, Ebony.
They really have, and it's good to see after that first innings. I think the way they applied themselves, especially that partnership between Thirumanni and Pereira, he can be pleased getting that half century, and for both of them they haven't really been in the flow of runs, so to be able to build a partnership, stem the English bowlers, I think that's going to set them up nicely. And who knows, if the weather plays a factor, plus there's some resistance from an experienced middle order, this could bubble into some sort of exciting game at the back end. So well done to them for applying themselves today and showing that they're more capable than we saw in the first innings.
Yeah, you feel that tomorrow, when England get that first wicket, that sort of Chandimal Matthews axis in the middle order, how much they can produce for Sri Lanka will go a long way to deciding the destination of this game. Chandimal Matthews, Dickwella, and Dickwella's quite a dasher, but that Chandimal Matthews, I mean, they're both very capable players, and we've seen before from Angelo Matthews, he actually turned around that game at Headingley in very different conditions, of course. That game at Headingley, one of the most remarkable games of cricket I've seen in 2014, when Matthews made 160 and Sri Lanka completely turned around a game that they looked as if they were losing. So 156 for 2 at the close of play. The game when Jimmy Anderson was out from the penultimate ball of the match.